Rocco and Key Acura of Atlantic City, and he will beat that price by $500 and give you an additional $500 on your trade. And now through June 30th, get a 36-month lease on a 2024 Integra for just $299 a month with $49.95 down. Key Acura, Chilton Road, EAT. Your small but friendly dealer. See dealer for details.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They got him again!
Sixers.
Bang! It's good! Ball game!
And Flyers.
Tipped in front of the net!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
Isn't it about time for somebody's favorite radio program? Yeah.
97.3 ESPN presents The Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
Now, live from its Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike Gill.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill for one more day on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Mike Gill is on his way back from London, and we have a special guest joining me in the studio, Nick Earnshaw from the Shift podcast and producer on the weekends for Billy Schweim, the Locker Room on 97.3 ESPN. Nick, you gotta let the people know that Mike Gill's not here because we don't play Mike Gill's music for the intro when he's not here.
That's true. That's very true. Josh, it's great to be with you. Mike's, I guess, coming across the pond as we speak. I can't wait to see him back tomorrow, but I'm excited to be with you for the next couple of hours here.
We got a busy show, 4-hour tour to get into. Phillies Weekend in London. Eagles takeaways from what was a interesting mini camp, we'll call it. Plus, the Dan Hurley news just dropped about 10 minutes before we hit the radio, and I got some thoughts on that a little bit later in the show. To be honest, Nick, the NBA Finals have been very disappointing, and the viewership is pretty low for it. It's actually the worst watched NBA Finals in a decade, they say. So we'll get into that, I'm sure, at some point. Have you watched any of the Stanley Cup?
I watched a little bit on Saturday night. Yeah, game one I watched a little bit. The NBA Finals, I'm with you. The Dan Hurley news has been taken over more than the NBA Finals itself. Like that's been talked about way more than the actual games, the actual finals with the Celtics and the Mavericks, because they've been kind of snoozers, to be honest. The first two games of the finals have been snooze fest. Clearly, and I don't want to see Boston win. I mean, if you're around here, you're a Sixers fan, you don't want to see Boston win, but they're up 2-0. Hasn't really been talked about as much. The Hurley news has kind of taken over the NBA sphere as of now, Josh.
Well, let's get to the Phillies, because the Phillies are obviously, the biggest for us locally in the weekend. And what a wild weekend it was, because Nick, I know a lot of businesses in South Jersey, they had special openings, special events, special activities just for the London games. So it's always great to see the local community come together and create a at-home Phillies environment for the team overseas. And I want to get into my quick couple takeaways from the weekend. Number one, the Bryce Harper moment on Saturday may be at the top of the montage if this team does go back to the World Series this year. They always have that, the Phillies rain delays, the montages they show of remember this Phillies team, I think that the Harper hitting the home run with the special bat, which I'm guaranteeing you, if they put that up for auction right now for charity, Nick, it's probably get $500,000. Bat.
Yeah, that's going to go way up in price.
Yeah. So, but the home run specifically, Harper said on MLB Network the day before that he would love to hit a home run, in this moment. And the soccer style football celebration of him sliding on his knees at the front of the dugout to the fans, it was a massive moment for Harper. Because I think, if you thought the guy was a superstar before, I think he just elevated his profile a little bit. What an amazing Phillies win on Saturday. The complete opposite happened on Sunday. But, on Saturday, it was so many good vibes. It was so many, this is the best team in baseball. essence to it because of, Whit Merrifield yanking that home run, Castellanos hitting that home run. Saturday was everything that you knew the Phillies could be. But Sunday was symbolic of how baseball is a very, very long season. And I cannot say this enough to everybody out there, Nick. I am not taking anything away from Sunday's game except for guys have a bad day at the office. That was apparently, according to, I believe it was MLB Network, the worst day for the Phillies bullpen since May 1st. So it's been over a month since the Phillies bullpen has had a bad day at the office. Alvarado, arguably his worst outing of the season. GT Realmuto, that ball that got by him almost never gets by anybody, right? Especially a guy who's considered one of the best catchers in baseball. So to me, I look at Sunday as just a bad day at the office. Things happen, and the Mets found a way to take advantage of your mistakes. It's not like the Phillies got shut down offensively. It's not like the Phillies didn't score any runs in the game. They just didn't score enough runs to prevent a collapse by, the bullpen not doing their job. And again, the bullpen has done their job most of the year. And nothing I saw this weekend, honestly, changes my mind from what I said on Thursday and Friday, which is if you're going into the deadline, at the trade deadline, Nick, you're going to go get a bullpen pitcher and a right-handed bat who can play the outfield. Nothing has changed. There's nothing that happened this weekend that changes my mind because for as great as the win on Saturday was, and we were all feeling ourselves after that game, we were in the same mode in the opposite direction after Sunday, which is we know this is still a flawed baseball team. We know this is still a team that is not going to win every game the rest of the year. And let's be honest, if you thought the Phillies were going to leave Citizens Bank Park, go to London, sweep the Mets, and then take suddenly 2 out of 3 against Boston and Baltimore coming up, I think you were out of your mind, Nick.
I would have liked to seen them sweep the Mets out there in London. It would have been nice, but because it was unfortunate. Taijuan Walker was fantastic on Sunday. Like, I know all the great vibes on Saturday were awesome. Harper hits home run. He does a celebration, which was awesome, by the way. And the reaction from Rob Thompson was hysterical, too. That was funny when he's just kind of looking at Harper in the dugout, just praying in his mind, like, hey, please don't get hurt. Don't hurt your knees. So that was pretty funny on Saturday. But Sunday, in the loss, Taijuan Walker, who's gotten a lot of heat as the 5th starter this year, coming back off of injury, he was fantastic. With 5 2/3, had 6 strikeouts, gets pulled in the 6th inning for Gregory Soto, and that's kind of when the wheels fell off, right? Like, I understand going to Soto there. I probably personally would have liked Strahm in that situation, but I'm with you. It was just a bad day at the office from the bullpen. They've been fantastic all year.
Really quick on the Strahm versus Soto point, there's 2 things to keep in mind.
Mm-hmm.
Number one, Strahm and Alvarado have both pitched about half the Phillies games this year.
Right.
So at some point, you got to go to somebody else, right? You can't keep going to the same 2 guys every single night. Go back to, remember when the Royals won the World Series, was it 2015?
Yeah.
They had like 4 or 5 guys coming out of that bullpen. Right. And it was like, that was a huge reason why they won the World Series. You go back to the Yankees of the late 90s. They had like 5 guys before they ever got to Mariano. So it was like the best teams have depth, and you traded for Gregory Soto for a reason. And guess what? In Soto's first 88 games with the Phillies, 68 of them, he gave up no runs. The other 20, he wasn't so good. So the majority of the time, okay, whatever the percentage is, 68 out of 88 is what, like 70% basically.
Yeah, do the math.
70%, right. I'm doing off the top of my head. I'm probably wrong with that number. I'm sure somebody will text in at 609-403-0973. Let me know my math is wrong. But the point is that 68 out of 88 is not a bad ratio. But it's a bad ratio when you go up and you lose a game like that. And it just impounds situation, which is why, whether you want to call it Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, whether you want to call it the Gregory Soto experience, Nick, you watch as much baseball as anybody. You know that part of baseball is if you're not an elite pitcher, like, I don't know. Is there even an elite pitcher on the Phillies? They have really good pitchers, but like the bullpen is not elite. So you're going to expect those guys to maybe have a bad day here and there.
Yeah, and that kind of goes to the point of the trade deadline, right? We talked about it on Friday, Ryan and I, and you jumped into the conversation as well. Like, for this Phillies team heading into the trade deadline, it would be nice if Rob Thompson had another option out of the bullpen, right? Like, that's why I think that's the priority over the bat in the outfield. I think you need to go after a bullpen piece, whether it's a Mason Miller. You have prospects to give up at this point. Do I love giving up? No, because I'm a big prospect guy. But if you go out and get another arm for Rob Thompson to put into this bullpen, have another option other than a Gregory Soto, even a lefty. If you go after another lefty or something, you go out and get someone like that so you're not put in this position with Soto, because Soto struggled on the road this year as well. Remember, they're in London. I understand they were the home team for one game, but
it's a road game.
Yeah, it's a road game. So he struggled on the road. And remember, Strahm coming into that game had 25 straight appearances of not allowing a run. Like, that's how good Strahm has been this year, but you got to give him some rest at some point. So I think they have to go get another arm, because you can never have too much pitching heading into the postseason.
Sure.
I think that's the number one priority at the deadline. I know the outfield struggle. What are they? 25th, 26th overall as an offense in the outfield combined.
Right.
I think pitching is going to be more important down the stretch in those high leverage situations than an outfield bat. That's why you have to go out and get another arm. And yesterday, yes, it was kind of an anomaly. They struggled a little bit. They've been fantastic all year. They're in London. That's okay. But you have to go out and get another arm, in my estimation, because you don't want to go out there and have a Soto appearance all of the time, right?
No, you don't. And I would also say that, to the pitching point, I'm not saying you need to get the best pitcher on the market either.
No.
I just need you to get more depth, because, again, as I said, if Alvarado and Strahm have each pitched in almost half the team's games, you can't keep asking those guys to keep doing that. And at some point, you don't want to make the third and fourth guys Soto and Dominguez. I know Kerkering has been getting better. I know he has been – he finally looks like he's healthy again. You know what I mean? He finally looks like, it took him some time to kind of like refine himself, but I think he's finally gotten there. The issue, though, is that, as you said, once you get past Alvarado, Strahm, Hoffman, Kerkering, it's a little questionable, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and I see somebody texting in at 609-403-0973. Texture, they should have put Turnbull in. Here's the problem with Turnbull. I think Turnbull has proven that while he's a solid pitcher, Nick, he's a much better starter,
right?
Because you look at what Turnbull's numbers have been since his last start, right? Since the last time he started a game, those 7 games, he has where is it? I just lost it. He has a 5.25 ERA in those 7 games. In those 7 games, he has allowed 14 hits, 7 earned runs. Now, he does have 13 strikeouts and 12 innings out of the bullpen. So he's still going out there and pumping gas. But he has not been the pitcher he was as a starter. I don't know if that's a psychological thing. I don't know if we're, looking at him and he's in the wrong roles, Nick, but I don't know if Turnbull is the answer either.
Well, also, you have to look at the matchup yesterday. You got to put in a lefty, right? Like, you're not going to put Turnbull in that spot yesterday in the 6th inning to relieve Walker. Turnbull, it's a thing with pitchers, right? And we know baseball players are creatures of habit, and it's a mental game. So, moving from the bullpen, something he hasn't done a ton, right? As a long reliever, it's a different mindset coming in the 5th, 6th, 7th inning than going in and starting a game in the 1st, right? So yesterday, Turnbull, not the guy to put in yesterday due to the matchup. That's the reason he wasn't in yesterday. It was a lefty righty thing. So that's why you either go Strahm or Soto in that spot right there. So, but with Turnbull, he's a better starter than he is reliever, but he's been good coming out of the bullpen. And listen, you got to give Walker a chance here, Josh, because he pitched really well yesterday. 5 2/3. That was probably his best start of the year. The Phillies just fell apart. The bullpen just had a bad day. And then obviously in the 9th inning, couldn't get it done with the Castellanos swinging bunt double play, which was, it stunk. I mean, that was by the way, so Castellanos.
They were not kidding when they said before the Saturday game of how bouncy that ground is. I mean, I don't think I don't remember an arena bouncing that much since probably the Rogers Center in the early 90s with the Blue Jays before they replaced the turf with what it is now. I think it's like some different variation of turf now, but the AstroTurf that they had in the old Astrodome, remember that? Well, you might be too young for that, Nick, but the old Astrodome and then the Rogers Center in the 90s, like that's the last time I remember seeing balls bounce like that, because some of those bounces were like, I was wondering how those guys are going to like readjust their fielding, because some of those went so high. It was just totally unexpected.
Yeah, and we talk about Rojas, right? There was one play yesterday in Sunday's game where he just totally had a ball bounce right over his head, and as he was coming in on it, and just didn't expect it. Like that was crazy, because it was all turf. All the grass was turf out there, and it was like a tennis ball, Josh. It was like a tennis ball bouncing over your head. So and also another thing with that stadium is the white kind of overhang of the stadium. You kind of lost the ball. We saw Alec Boehm have trouble on a pop fly in foul territory.
Right.
It was happening to the Mets too. Like, you kind of lost the ball, especially with the gray skies too. So it was an interesting dynamic with the field bouncing all over the place, looking up. It's you're losing the ball into the sky and into the overhang as well. So there were some issues, I guess, with the field of play too, defensively for both sides.
He's Nick Earnshaw. I'm Josh Hennig, filling for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. So to come, Mike McGarry from the Press of Atlantic City coming up at 2:30. Bob Wankel from Crossing Broad at 3 p.m. to talk more about the Phillies. Football forward with Geoff Mosher from the Inside the Birds podcast. Lots of takeaways to get into about the Eagles a little bit later in the show. Back to text at 609-403-0973. Jeff from Ocean City chimes in, says the loss yesterday was disappointing, but there is no stopping this Phillies team to me. I want to know, when will Schwarber hit his next home run? That's an interesting question, Nick, because Schwarber the last couple of years has been absolutely on fire in the month of June. Well, since his last home run, Schwarber, on May 29th, so that's 8 games since then. While the Phillies are 6-2, Schwarber has a 161 batting average with no homers, 1 RBI, and 9 strikeouts. So talk about a guy getting cold at the absolutely wrong time.
Yeah, and Schwarber, he reached base 3 times yesterday. He did start to get it going a little bit in yesterday's game. But yeah, it's been a while, right? Like every year, it's like, all right, June Schwarber time. He's going to start going off. This is when his season really begins. We really haven't seen that so far this month. He's really struggled. But he gets on base a couple of times yesterday. It's kind of like the Castellanos thing, right? You got to let him just continue to get at bats, right? And heading back to the States, hopefully in Boston, it's a little bit of a shorter, field in right field, right? Shorter, I guess, down the line. So maybe he gets it going this one, because he's had some really hard hit balls. He had a couple of times in the London series where he had a couple of foul balls that went really deep. So I think he'll get it going. Just be a little patient. I think it's similar to Castellanos. Give him the at-bats. He'll get there eventually. It's just we're so accustomed to him in June being that guy hitting all these home runs and getting really hot. It just hasn't happened yet. What are we, 10 days into June? He's got to start getting it going if he wants to keep up the June Schwarber nickname, Josh.
I think the biggest problem for Schwarber right now is, that base hit that he got on Saturday?
Yes.
It was like a line drive.
Right.
It's almost like he's not seeing the ball well enough to really leverage his swing right now. And I don't know if that's a mechanical thing. I'm not sure if it's a mental thing. I never played Major League Baseball, so I can't tell you which it is, but it's just to my eyeballs, Nick. He looks like a guy that is just not seeing the ball well enough right now. And you know what? You're right. It may take him some time. It may take him a week or so to really figure. And by the way, this whole travel to London, travel to Boston, travel to Baltimore, this is not going to be an easy stretch for these guys, and someone somewhere is going to struggle. Right now, it just happens to be Schwarber, and it's more amplified because it's the month of June.
Well, I'll even add this, though. He's hit in 3 straight games going back to the Milwaukee series. So he's had a hit since last Wednesday, the 5th, and then he hit in both games in the Mets series in London.
But
so
a hit is not what Geoff from Ocean City is saying. He wants homers.
I know he wants. I'm with him. I totally agree. He's been getting base hits, and that's not what we were expecting out of Kyle Schwarber, right? Like, I get it. He's a leadoff hitter. It's good that he's getting base hits. He's getting on base. That's priority number one. But you want to see Schwarber, like, you need a leadoff home run to just get the juices going a little bit, right? Like, we need that back if you're watching the Phillies. So I think for Schwarber, it's about just getting more at bats. Just keep trotting them out there. I mean, it's a long season, right? Like, the baseball season's so long. You start end of March and you go through September into October. You're going to have ebbs and flows of the season. We're just, like I said, so accustomed to Schwarber really getting it going in June and being that power guy at the top of the lineup, hitting 50-plus home runs, 40-plus home runs every single year. So I think it'll happen. It just be patient. It's okay. We don't have to panic yet. We're nitpicking here, okay, Geoff? We're nitpicking a little bit. It's that's where we're at. When you have the best team in baseball, you got to find something, right? And I think Schwarber will get it rolling. Maybe Boston's the perfect place for it, especially since the dimensions are a little bit shorter in the outfield, and you have the Green Monster as well.
I also just realized I probably asked the wrong person that question because Nick Earnshaw is probably the most easy-going Philadelphia sports fan I've ever met in my life. So, like, Nick is like the epitome of positivity over here. So, like, it could be a cloudy, rainy day, and Nick has still got a smile on his face. So it's like, I think the only thing we can Nick down is if somebody he cared about died. I think that's the only thing that would make you miserable.
Listen, well, these teams have made me miserable plenty of times over the years. Okay, I've attended 2 straight Sixers games in the playoffs. Game 6 last year, Game 7 this year, also Game 7 for the Phillies this past year. I've been miserable. I can be miserable if I want, but I'm not going to be miserable in June when you have the best record in baseball, Josh. I can't be miserable then.
All that means is that you just should never go to a Phillies Sixers playoff game.
I've learned that. And
no playoff games for Nick Earnshaw.
No, because it's not been pretty since Game 5 of the NLCS a couple of years ago when Harper hit the home run. That's the last like good playoff game I've been to, Josh. So I can't go to playoff games anymore. But in June, I'll go to a game in June, and I'm going to be positive. When you're the best team in baseball, the team's hitting, the team's pitching well. It's okay. We can relax a little bit. We don't have to nitpick as much. They'll be fine. Schwarber's going to get rolling.
Nitpick. I mean,
we are.
Come on.
It's our nature. It's our nature to nitpick in sports radio. Come on.
He's Nick Earnshaw. I'm Josh Hennig, filling for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. We'll get to more of your texts a little bit later in the hour. Keep them coming in. 609-403-0973 in your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. See our Phillies conversation being brought to you by Clark's Moving and Storage, located in Rio Grande. Moving is a breeze with Clark's Moving and Storage. We'll also get to the Eagles a little bit later in the hour. Plus, this Dan Hurley story is absolutely wild. We will touch on that. And by the way, how about this for a little NFL news dump on a random Monday afternoon? Mike Tomlin with a 3-year contract extension. How about that?
In Pittsburgh? Remember last year they thought, oh, maybe let him go. They let go the offensive coordinator, Matt Canada. So they thought there was a little bit of trouble in paradise in Pittsburgh. Apparently not. Mike Tomlin's one of the best coaches in football, no doubt about it. Very well deserved. Gets a new quarterback, Russell Wilson. They want to see how this plays out.
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating when you see stuff like this because, a guy like Tomlin, everyone loves and respects that guy. And the idea that he could have maybe been let go.
I know.
And it's the weird ebb and flow of sports. You talk about how we in sports talk radio, television, podcasts, everybody loves the nitpick, but we lose perspective on the big picture. And the big picture is, what is the goal? The goal is to win football games, right? So what coach is going to be better than Mike Tomlin to help the Steelers win games? I don't know if that guy exists, Nick, because guess what? Whether it's Belichick, whether it is Pete Carroll, whether it's any of these older coaches, I don't know if their future is. I don't know if they're going to go in Pittsburgh and do a better job than Tomlin is.
No, I don't think so. I think you got to keep Tomlin in Pittsburgh, especially when you get a new quarterback in, right? He's had Kenny Pickett the past couple of years. He had a young quarterback. Now, obviously, backup for Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia, but you got to see what he's got with the veteran quarterback. And, he's had a history there. He's been a fantastic coach. You can't just move on from a guy like Mike Tomlin on a whim, and especially if you're struggling a little bit during the season. I think it's very well deserved.
All right, we'll get more into All that a little bit later in the show. But coming up next, Mike McGarry for the Press of Atlantic City. We'll get his thoughts on the Phillies Mets weekend in London. All that and more still to come here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig, Nick Earnshaw, filling in for Mike Gill on a Monday edition of the Sports Bash.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Keeping the fans entertained and happy.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
For exceptional savings on your next BMW, visit BMW of Atlantic City. Shop our entire lineup of your favorite new BMW models, located in Egg Harbor Township and online at bmwatlanticcity.com.
Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. A personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City, a community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Learn more at firstbankseaisle.com.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Every business faces challenges, but complicated, expensive, and uncertain shipping shouldn't be one of them.
With USPS Ground Advantage from the United States Postal Service, you can avoid all the noise.
No more unexpected surcharges, hidden fees, or complex rate structures.
It's just easy, cost-effective, and dependable shipping. Tune your business's frequency to success and turn shipping to your advantage. Learn how at USPS.com/advantage. USPS Ground Advantage. Simple, affordable, reliable.
New Jersey is leading the nation in clean energy investments with one thing in mind: you. Save money while saving the planet. New Jersey's Clean Energy Program is a statewide program that offers incentives, programs, and services that benefit New Jersey residents, businesses, education, government, and nonprofit entities to help us all save energy, money, and the environment. Discover how you can start saving today and help ensure a cleaner future. Visit njcleanenergy.com to see what New Jersey's Clean Energy Program can do for you. A message from the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Grainger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgrainger.com or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers, excludes Corvette, excludes prior sales.
Don't buy a car anywhere until you hear this. Bennett Chevy must sell 200 vehicles immediately. So right now, brand new Chevys are on sale at the GM supplier employee price. That's right, you pay what we pay. Plus, you keep all the rebates, saving you as much as 10% off MSRP. You heard right, you get both GM supplier employee prices, plus you get all the rebates up to 10% off MSRP. And because Bennett must move 200 new and used vehicles, we'll give you a minimum $10,000 for any rotted out old clunker, even if it was on fire. Yes, a minimum 10 grand for any clunker towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. Imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. These are real deals you won't get anywhere else but Bennett Chevy. So you must hurry for best selection. With deals like this, nobody beats a Bennett deal, and I mean nobody. Together, let's drive at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Pro Paint Days are back at Lowe's. Save $40 on select 5-gallon HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams paint, like Weather Shield, Showcase, or ceiling paint. Plus, save $10 on drywall PVA primer and get free same-day delivery to the job site when you order by 2 p.m. Lowe's knows paint. Lowe's knows pros. Offers valid through 6/14. Delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
Paid for by Wesley Financial Group. Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-761-0000. 800-761-0000.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Got a car-loving dad? Nice.
we've got a Father's Day sale. Right now, our Armor All Ultimate 8-piece bucket kit is just $25. That's soap, a wash mitt, wheel cleaner, tire shine, glass wipes, and interior wipes. Plus, a bucket to use for the wash. All for just $25 at the AutoZone Father's Day sale. Now through the 16th.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Looking for an incredible deal on internet? Now through June 24th, get the lowest price ever for Xfinity Gig Speed Internet with unlimited data included. Bring on the good stuff. Switch at Xfinity.com today. Restrictions apply. Gig Wi-Fi requires Xfinity gateway. Actual speeds vary.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Alongside Nick Earnshaw here in the 97.3 ESPN studios. Of course, Ocean Casino Resort, the proud sponsors of our studios here, 97.3 ESPN FM. Mike McGarry for the Press of Atlantic City. He is back from a busy sports weekend. Phillies in London, ShopRite LPGA. We'll get into all that and more right now with Mike McGarry for the Press of Atlantic City here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Mike, welcome back in. How you doing today?
Hey, Josh, doing well. How about yourself?
Doing pretty good. I know you kept busy at the ShopRite LPGA. Tell us what your takeaways were from the event and how the weekend went for you.
Well, just a great event, an event that's kind of always been, signals the start of summer to me, basically. And yesterday, you didn't have a field filled with a lot of well-known LPGA golfers, but what you did get was some history. Lene Strom goes out in the morning, shoots a 60 on the Bay course. She becomes the sixth LPGA player to shoot 60. Only one player, Annika Sorenstam, a shot of 59. And then she completes the biggest comeback in LPGA history since the LPGA began keeping records of such things in 1984, where she goes from tied for 52nd to winning the tournament. So, you go to a sporting event, they always say, expect the unexpected. Well, I don't think anybody expected that. At the beginning of the day, she had 0.001% chance of winning according to the analytics. But at the end of the day, she was holding the trophy. So a great tournament out there at Seaview with the ShopRite LPGA Classic this year.
It's interesting, Mike, because before we get to the Phillies, one of the interesting conversations that has been having big picture, and we can bring it to the ShopRite LPGA. And for you, Mike, you've covered sports at all levels, high school, college, pro. There has been a greater emphasis and attention to women's sports in the last several months in the aftermath of the Caitlin Clark phenomenon. For you, how have you perceived some of that attention? Do you think that, it has benefited women's sports in general or not? Like, what is your take on that? Because like I said, you've covered men's and women's sports at different levels.
Yeah, I think if you get a compelling personality, which Caitlin Clark is, it's kind of a rising tide raises all boats, right? And maybe opens up people's minds to looking at events that they normally wouldn't look at. The LPGA has a tremendous history. The ShopRite LPGA Classic has tremendous history. Some of its past champions, Annika Sorenstam, Nancy Lopez, Julie Inkster, Betsy King have been, Brooke Henderson, Lexi Thompson have been the best women's golfers in the world. And so I just think it's a great event to me. Kind of maybe some people are just catching up to what a lot of us who have followed women's sports and covered events like the ShopRite LPGA Classic for 20 plus years have already known just how great and entertaining those events are.
Let's get to the Phillies, Mike. Obviously, splitting the weekend with the Mets. You had the high of Saturday's game. What a win. What a moment. What an emotional roller coaster of a high for Phillies fans. And then the bullpen, basically the worst game they've had since May 1st. The bullpen literally choked away a game. Is it as simple as it's a 162-game season, Mike?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the Mets had actually been playing well when they went to Europe. They had swept the Nationals 3 games before they went over there. So, getting a split with the Mets, not the worst thing in the world. I thought Alvarado, I watched that inning yesterday, kind of struggled with his command a little bit, but he was also unlucky. The ball up the middle, that that ball is 2 feet to the right. It's right at Scott. He's able to make the play. Otherwise, he dodged. He just missed it. The the infield hit the Bohm, kind of a cheap hit, and the inning kind of unravels from there. I'm not going to push the panic button. They're 45-20. They beat the division by 9 games. Could they get better? Yeah, and I think we all know it's another bullpen arm that can close games, and it's a right-handed bat, to come off the bench or maybe play in the outfield. Those are the two things they need by the trade deadline. But I'm not going to push any panic button here over a split series in London in June.
Hey, Mike, it's Nick here. Taijuan Walker probably had one of his best outings of the season yesterday. Just what were some of your takeaways from his start and, what he was able to do for 5 and 2/3?
Yeah, I mean, he threw well. He got a lot of strikeouts. It clearly was his best start of the season. Like a lot of people, Taijuan Walker is a constant source of conversation around here. But here's the deal. Every game I've ever been to, somebody pitches. And the Phillies need a high starting pitchers to go through a rotation. And they're paying Taijuan Walker in the second year of a 4-year, $72 million contract. Last year, he won 15 games. He is a pitcher who I believe the last 2 years has thrown more than 170 innings. He is going to get every chance. He is going to get a long rope. People that think, he struggled instead of pitching for his spot in rotation on an outing by outing performance, just aren't being realistic at the thing. Taijuan Walker might not pitch in the postseason. He might not be on the postseason roster, but between now and the start of the postseason, unless he's injured, he's going out there every 5th day. Because even when he tends to struggle, he still eats up 5 or 6 innings, and you need those guys over the course of 162 innings. So Taijuan Walker is going to be in the rotation going forward, and to discuss, what should be told he pitched well yesterday or not. He's the guy. They're paying him $72 million. He's going to be out there pitching.
Mike, when you think about the pitching, I had said before you came on, I am still convinced that the Phillies, when they get to the deadline, they still need a bullpen pitcher. They still need a right-handed bat. Did you come out and thinking any differently?
No, I think absolutely. I mean, I think yesterday, if they had a right-handed guy with closing experience, I think that would be a key guy to sort of pick up. And yeah, they could use another bat. Although Whit Merrifield did show signs of waking up. Dahl had another home run yesterday. Castellanos hit the ball a bit better. So again, you've got to the trade deadline. You've got to the end of July to sort of figure this out and where they're going to be. But I think those are the two areas where you would say, hey, if this team had to improve itself and there was a guy available that fit that role, yeah, I would go get him. Only because I think the Phillies window for a championship is really open this year and next year. Then they're going to get to some issues. I know guys come off the books, but the younger guys are going to have to get paid. I mean, how much money is Ranger Suarez earning himself so far this season? So, I think this year and next year are the Phillies' prime opportunities to sort of win a World Series. So, to me, you've got to make the roster as strong as you can going into October. And yes, I would agree. A bullpen guy that maybe has experience as a closer and a right-handed bat are the two things that the Phillies need to sort of make that roster as strong as possible.
Mike, what is your perspective on the idea? Mike McGarry of the Press of Atlantic City joining us here on the Sports Dash. Josh Hennig and Nick Earnshaw filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN at AC Press McGarry on Twitter. From you, I had said multiple times that I don't want to give up the wrong prospect because we've already seen around baseball. I know there's not an easy formula for it. I know sometimes you can't always predict this stuff. Almost everyone you traded for Cliff 3 years ago was a nothing burger at the major league level. But in recent years, you traded guys like Nick Pivetta and Ben Brown. They've gone on to have solid, good seasons with other teams. Is there any concern that you don't want to trade the wrong guy from the system right now?
No, not to me. Again, because I feel that window is open this year and next year, I am going to trade anybody necessary to make this major league roster as strong as it possibly can be. So I'm not worried about giving up prospects. I'm not worried about, a guy like Logan O'Hoppe. Maybe, you trade him and 5 years from now, he's a star and you as a team are struggling. Because hopefully you'll have one World Series or two to look back on it and say that trade was worthwhile. So at this point with I'm not hesitant. I am training whoever it is necessary in the organization, prospect, young player, to make this team as strong as it can possibly be to take a legitimate swing at the World Series this year and next.
Hey, Mike. So I got to talk about Kyle Schwarber a little bit here. He's been struggling as of late, but he's hit in his last 3 games. But the homers and the power have not been there. Do you think it's just a case of kind of what Castellanos went through? He just needs to continue to get more at bats, and maybe it'll come through. And it's just a long season at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we're all kind of a little spoiled, right? We're all wondering what's going on because today's June 10th, and June is this month, and he hasn't had that typical June. So we're like, where is it? Where is it, Kyle? Where is June coming? You know it's coming. You know that 2 to 3 week period is coming where he hits the home run just about every time up, and he gets unbelievably hot. I mean, one of the things about the Phillies, and is their Achilles heel a little bit, is they have a lot of streaky guys, like Castellanos is streaky, Schwarber is streaky. In reality, all baseball players are streaky. Nobody, goes, 1 for 3 every day. They all blow hot and cold, but the Phillies have guys who are especially streaky. Schwarber is one of them. I'm not worried about him as long as he's healthy, which I believe he is. Those home runs, that streak that we've seen the last 2 years is going to come. We're just kind of sitting on the edge of our seat, right? Because today's June 10th, and usually it starts June 1st, but it's coming at some point. And, I have all the faith in the world in Kyle Schwarber and what he can do for the Phillies as the season progresses. That hot streak is coming. It's just a matter of when.
Mike, before we let you go, I want to know what of the 3 big basketball stories for the weekend had more of your interest. Was it the Celtics going up 2-0? Was it Caitlin Clark being left off the women's national team to the Olympics? Or was it Dan Hurley now saying no to the Lakers?
I'm fascinated by Danny Hurley saying no to the Lakers. I mean, that is tough to say no to. I mean, you look at the Los Angeles Lakers, they are maybe the premier franchise in the NBA, right? And if you just look at sports franchises around the world, right, the Lakers are in your top 10. They're up there with, Manchester United and, I don't know, Real Madrid soccer or whatever, a soccer team in Italy, whatever their big soccer team is, Yankees in baseball, the Dallas Cowboys in football, it's the Lakers in basketball. And when somebody throws a lot of money at you to coach one of the best franchises in the world, it's tough to say no. So I'm fascinated that Danny said no and decided to stay at the University of Connecticut. Because to me, Josh, there was no downside. If he goes to coaches the NBA, I think Danny is a smart enough coach and, has the emotional intelligence to adjust his style to deal with NBA players. So I thought he would have been successful. But even if he wasn't successful, okay, he returns to college in 2 years and had to pick up any college job in the country, basically, because of the success at Connecticut. So I'm fascinated that Danny decided to stay at Connecticut and turn down the Lakers job. He might be the first guy in the history of America to choose to stay in Storrs, Connecticut, and not move to sunny Los Angeles.
Well, we should remember we are 20 years almost to the day when Coach K said no to the Lakers. So it has been done before.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? And, Krzyzewski then, of course, went on to coach the U.S. Olympic team and sort of get his pro sort of experience that way. But yeah, I'm fascinated that Danny decided to stay at Connecticut. It's great for college basketball. It's great for the University of Connecticut. But, boy, saying no to that money and saying no to the Los Angeles Lakers is, let's put it this way, not many guys, not many coaches would have made the decision that Danny did. And I guess that's kind of what makes him special.
He's made the game for the Press of Atlantic City. Give him a follow on the Twitter X platform at AC Press McGarry. You got all of his coverage of South Jersey High School sports, the Phillies, and more at thepressofatlanticcity.com. Mike, you'll be back on Wednesday, and Mike Gill will be back that day as well.
Oh, there you go. Back to my story is over in England. So hope the Cubs doesn't get him when he comes back.
I'm sure we'll find out pretty quickly otherwise.
Exactly.
Mike, take care.
All right, guys. Great talking to you. See you later. Bye-bye.
Always great talking to Mike again at the Press of Atlantic City here on the Sports Patch. Josh Hennig along with Nick Earnshaw in the studio, filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. We'll get back to text on the other side at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank. See how it's going to come. Bob Wankel from Crossing Broad at RedOctoberPlay.com. Join us at 3 o'clock hour. But Nick, on the other side, I'm going to tell you the real reason why Dan Hurley said no to the Lakers. And it's not the reason people think or even are talking about. And I think it should be the biggest thing we're talking about. But certain blowhards in the national media are ignoring a fact. Sometimes I know facts get away a good story, but we're going to get to the facts coming up next on Sports Bash. Josh today, Nick Earnshaw, live in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios on 97.3 ESPN FM. Or for 97.3 ESPN mobile app, it's free. Thanks to First Bank CIL City.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill
It just keeps getting better.
on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Are you ready for your next adventure? As of yesterday, today, tomorrow, and years to come, Hitch RV is here to stay. As a family-owned and operated business since 2008, we understand the importance of family trips and hitting the open road in comfort and style. Experience no-pressure shopping with our unbeatable deals on a wide range of RVs. Shop all the top RV brands and come find your perfect RV today at Hitch RV. Visit us online at hitchrv.com. Discover the open road with Hitch RV.
Sorry, but we actually have a wait list for our Monstera.
Shaw's greenhouse is really bringing in the green.
We need snake plants and stuff.
She needs a construction manager to build on her roots and grow.
We could have a whole section for ferns. Here we have dahlias, and more dahlias.
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. You can schedule and conduct virtual interviews all from your employer dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 for your sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
Go for the pulls and the pools. Go for the hot streak and the hot tubs. Go for a relaxing massage and for wild nights with your entourage. Go to play all day and to dance all night. Go for the rooms with the ocean views that go on forever. Go for paradise with a pair of dice. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com. Must be 21 or older. Party responsibly. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
$5,000. That's the average amount of money people in the U.S. are now spending on gas in a year. $5,000. That's crazy. If you drive, you have to download Upside, the free app that gives you cash back every time you get gas. That's right. You can earn real cash back with Upside just by buying the gas you're already buying. You can literally start earning cash back today.
I use Upside every time I fill up. I've already made around $300.
You're putting gas in your car anyway. Why not get real cash back? If you like free money, download Upside.
I'm saving the cash I earn from using Upside to help pay for a vacation later this year.
Download the free Upside app now to earn cash back every time you buy gas. Use promo code TURN to get an extra 25 cents per gallon on your first tank. You can cash out anytime right to your bank, PayPal, or a gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Upside app and use promo code TURN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code TURN for a 25 cents per gallon bonus.
It's universal.
Can I get a root canal instead?
People strongly dislike the process of moving.
Please, anything but moving.
Because let's face it, it's hard. But if you've got to do it, make it as painless as possible. Moving is a breeze with Clark's Moving and Storage. Use Clark's Moving and Storage for your next local or long-distance move. Visit Clark's Moving and Storage online at clarksmoving.net.
Score free gifts for the greatest dad this Father's Day at Lowe's. Get 2 free select DeWalt tools with your purchase of a 20-volt max battery 2-pack, up to a $438 value. And get a free Warner 2-foot aluminum ladder with purchase of an 8-foot fiberglass ladder. Visit us in-store or online for more deals you can't beat. Lowe's knows dads. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid through 6/12. While supplies last. Selection varies by location.
Life can be tough, and sometimes it's hard to find someone who will listen. But we want you to know there's always someone you can turn to, day or night. The 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline is completely confidential and here for you 24/7 every day of the year. You don't have to struggle alone. Call 988 and let us help. We're here ready to listen because your life matters. Call or text 988 or chat at 988lifeline.org/chat. A message from New Jersey Human Services.
With T-Mobile, you can get tons of benefits and still save. Because nobody likes having to choose. It's like getting romance and sci-fi.
I love you. Also, I'm a robot.
At T-Mobile, you can get the benefits you want and still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. See how with our savings calculator at T-Mobile.com/switch. Plus, switch and keep your phone. We'll pay it off up to $800. For tool prepaid card in 15 days. Qualifying unlocked device credit service and timely redemption required. Card has no cash access and expires in 6 months. See T-Mobile.com.
Hey, it's Mike Gill, and I have a deal for you. Bring any written estimate for a new 2024 Acura from another Acura dealer over to my friend Rocco, the Acura of Atlantic City, and he will beat that price by $500 and give you an additional $500 on your trade. And now through June 30th, get a 36-month lease on a 2024 Integra for just $299 a month with $49.95 down. Key Acura, Tilton Road, EAG. You're small but friendly dealer. See dealer for details.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Hennig back filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM, along with Nick Earnshaw live in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios. By the way, a little update. Bob Wankel will not be joining us at 3 o'clock. Got some things to take care of. He'll be joining us at 5 o'clock tonight here on 97.3 ESPN. So it's taking a little bit longer to get to Bob today.
Just hang in there.
We got plenty to get to. Nick, I promise I get to everybody the real reason.
Yeah, you did. I was intrigued.
Danny
I don't
Hurley.
even know.
So, for those who didn't see, Danny Hurley today turned down a 6-year, $70 million contract from the LA Lakers. Now, for those who didn't hear the full narrative of events of this, because I know this has been a hot topic over the weekend, but maybe people were too busy at the beach or watching the Phillies game and they saw the news today, like, wait, what the heck is going on? Why did he turn down this money? Well, here's the full story. So apparently, Dan Hurley, Bobby's his father, by the way. Bob Hurley, the famous coach from North Jersey. Dan Hurley said didn't really want the job in the first place, apparently. Apparently, he was very, set into coaching UConn. But the Lakers apparently pushed it so much that he obliged them on a meeting. And today he announced around like 1:45 p.m. the news came out that he said no. Well, you know what happened at 2 o'clock today, Nick?
What's that?
The UConn Twitter X account said practice begins right now.
That's perfect. That's perfect.
Which we know that was planned. That was not an accident that happened. So here's the real reason why Dan Hurley said no to this job. It's because of his wife. For those who don't know, Dan Hurley's wife pretty much is the catalyst for everything in his life. She'll lay out his clothes for him at times. She'll have his food orders set up so he remembers to eat during the day. She'll make sure the players are taken care of with certain things that they need with their personal life. Dan Hurley apparently is so basketball 24/7 centric that his wife is like the real world counterbalance for him. And his wife was the reason why he didn't go to Kentucky. He said no to the Kentucky job because his wife said, why do we want to go there? We're happy here. We can win more national championships here. Why should we leave UConn for another job? And a lot of people are talking about this. Seth Greenberg, who's on ESPN television, the former college basketball coach. Jeff Goodman of Stadium has talked about this. If Dan Hurley's wife would have said yes to the Lakers job, that would have been done days ago. So the fact it took this long was a clear sign to me he was never going to LA.
It was essentially a tell that he wasn't going to go to LA like that. He was going to come out and announce it. Like if it would have been right away, essentially.
Right. And obviously it's an easy way to leverage. Hey, UConn, you should give me more money. Give me more years.
I could go to the Lakers. I could go across the country.
Don't forget,
the big Lakers job.
We are almost exactly 20 years to the day, Nick, that Coach K also said no to the Lakers.
How about that? Like, isn't that crazy? It's almost to the exact pinpoint day of Coach K doing it. The same thing.
Coach K, as Mike McGarry, went on to coach USA basketball, win more national championships. Is the same in Dan Hurley's future?
It very well could be with how good UConn's been over the past few years. Definitely could happen.
He's Nick Earnshaw. I'm Josh Hennig. Filling for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. Coming up the other side, we'll get into more Phillies talk as well as Eagles conversation here on the Sports Bash, the Monday edition on 97.3 ESPN.
You have the choice, whether it's going out to dinner or ordering takeout at a local restaurant. Those choices help put money back into your community. And Town Square Media South Jersey put the spotlight on local restaurants.
Crossroads Bar and Grill, pushing the boundaries on what bar food should be. Vincenzo's Restaurante, soon to be your favorite spot for a delectable lunch or dinner in Galloway. VincenzoSmithville.com. And Chico & Sons in Northfield, voted #1 sub shop in South Jersey year after year. ChicoandSons.com.
Thank you for supporting these great local restaurants from Town Square Media, South Jersey.
Okay, 1 second. All right. Which way should the Phils lean? I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN question of the day. After a tough outing on Sunday in London, the Philadelphia Phillies bullpen struggled mightily to finish that second game of the London series. But our question of the day is, should the Phillies prioritize a bullpen arm over a run it back. Can you edit that? Yeah, start it over. Yep. Which way should the Phillies lean? I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN question of the day. With the Phillies bullpen struggling mightily in the second game of the London series against the New York Mets, it got us wondering, should the Phillies really prioritize a right field bat or an outfield bat over the Philadelphia? God, two-take Nick today. All right, ready? Which way should the Phillies lean at the deadline? I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN question of the day. With the Philadelphia Phillies falling in Game 2 in the London series against the New York Mets and the bullpen struggling, it got us wondering, should the Phillies really prioritize an outfield right-handed bat over a bullpen arm? Let us know by texting 609-403-0973 or use the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. For me, I think you got to go bullpen arm over right-handed bat. Give Rob Thompson another option out of the bullpen. Once again, text in at 609-403-0973. Your forecast is next.
Well, maybe that's an exaggeration, but you can find that perfect cigar at Smoker's Haven. With 5 New Jersey locations, Smoker's Haven has the finest selection of cigars in the area, like Ashton, My Father's, Romeo and Julieta, Monte Cristo, and more. All from the finest tobacco leaves and hand-rolled by the world's finest cigar makers. All locations are fully open. Stop in and let them help you find the perfect cigar to pair with your life. See all they have and their locations at smokershavennj.com.
Attention landowners, got big summer plans for your property? Then here's an offer from John Deere you'll really dig. Get 0% fixed rate APR for 60, 72, or 84 months on 1, 2, 3D, and 3E series compacts tractors. If you've always wanted to get in the seat of a powerful John Deere machine, now's a great time. Offer based on dealer participation. For complete finance details, call toll-free 1-800-468-8501 or online at johndeere.com/compact tractors.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi, the whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, privates, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And who doesn't want zero body odor? With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 500 and get 15% off your first purchase with code 500, like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LUMEdeodorant.com, code 500 for 15% off your first purchase. Love it or return it for free. That's LUMEdeodorant.com, code 500 to save 15% today.
Something good to know from First Bank of Sea Isle City. We have all of today's innovative banking products just like the big banks, but we offer something they can't. A personal community focus. Let's get you started with Bill Pay. You save time when you pay your bills online. It's fast, easy, and convenient. First Bank of Sea Isle City, a community bank that delivers more for you every day. Personal service, today's technology, from the people who truly care. Or firstbank.com.
SFG, Equal Housing Lender.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles,
They've got him. It's a sack.
Sixers,
Oh, baby.
and Flyers.
He scored.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike Gill.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City. Gotta be honest, Nick, not fully sure what happened right there. I
all good.
hit the play button on the music and nothing happened.
It's technology, it happens. It happens everywhere. Sometimes, it just won't cooperate with us, Josh, and that's all the time. It's okay. We're here. We got through. We're on the air. We're fine. We're
See,
good.
now I'm curious for why this thing is. And you literally heard me playing this.
Yeah, I did. I heard it playing. I don't know what happened, but it's the computer system here sometimes. It's crazy. It's crazy. But no, Josh, it's funny because now during the commercial break, you're going to try and figure out what happened. You're going to go through every single outlet. There it is. There's the music. It's back. You're going to go through every single outlet you can to try and figure out why did that happen. We got it back.
Well, we'll do it better next time. Apparently, actually, it was my fault. I had it on the wrong button. Well, you were recording the update during the break. It's to pull back the curtain. You were recording the update. I didn't put the button back on for the music for our ears, but the audience heard the music. So it's a bad job by me.
Behind
behind
the scenes.
Dropping of the ball by Josh Hennig here on 97.3. Because if Mike Gill was here, it'd be perfect. Right?
It definitely would have been. Behind the board right there. Pushing the buttons.
We'll check out the text board in just a bit. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle. Bob Wankel will join us a little bit later in the show. He was unable to come on at this time, but he'll be joining us coming up. It looks like tonight at 5 o'clock. So we'll talk with him then. But, we want to get to some Eagles talk here because Bob didn't join us. And I see Diamondback Derek. He texted in. Diamondback Derek, we'll get to you a little bit later in the hour because he brought up an interesting question, Nick. But I wanted to get to some of the audio that you and I had procured before the show because I wrote the article on 97.3 ESPN.com and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle, my 4 biggest takeaways from Eagles minicamp. I thought one of the biggest takeaways that needs to be talked about more is we all know we have new coordinators here in Philadelphia, right? We all know that Kellen Moore, Vic Fangio, they're in their first year in Philadelphia. And I've heard numerous people talk about here on 97.3 ESPN and other outlets how important it was for everybody to be in camp this week, right? And it was a good thing to see everybody in camp, right? The only guy who wasn't there was Landon Dickerson, and he had an excused absence, right? But it was Jalen Hurts who said this that stood out to me almost more than anything else from Eagles camp this week. Now, there's obviously stuff we saw on the field that stands out, but of what was said, Nick Earnshaw, this is the audio that stands out to me more than any other.
There's been a lot of new inventory in, majority of it, probably 95% of it being new. And so it's just been that process, and it's been a fun process because you get to see what works for other people. And the number of coaches that I've had since I've been here, I've been able to take in a lot of new knowledge and new understanding. And so I think the goal coming in was to learn Kellen's offense and master it. And I think that's been a process. And I think by the end of it, I want it to be mine and have it in my own way.
So there's two big parts of what Hurts said. Let's start with the first part. 95% of the offense is new. That is a huge statement because what you're saying is Nick, we already know what's going to happen. This team is not going to get out of the gates 100%. There is going to be some growing pains as this entire organization is acclimating themselves to an offense. Gill says he's going to make it his own, Nick.
Right.
But the reality is that no matter how much he wants to make it his own, it won't be his on day one. It's still going to be a work in progress. And I think that because of that, number one, we got to be patient because there is a learning curve. Kellen Moore comes from a completely different background than the Nick Sirianni, Shane Steichen, Brian Johnson triumvirate. And I know what some people are saying out there, Nick. Oh, come on, Josh. Kellen Moore and Brian Johnson, they were both college quarterbacks, right? But completely different coaching philosophies, completely different experiences, completely different everything. Don't lump these all guys into one boat. Kellen Moore comes from Boise State, where they ran a version of the Air Coryell offense. Then in the NFL, when he was a backup quarterback for the Lions and the Cowboys, West Coast offense, Mike Martz spread offenses. Kellen Moore does not come from the same tree. Sirianni comes from that, tight end formation, Todd Haley offense. Who else? Mike McCoy with the Chargers, right. Frank Reich with the Colts, right? Brian Johnson, he played under Urban Meyer at Utah in that offensive system. And then he worked with a Urban Meyer disciple, Dan Mullins, at Mississippi State in Florida. And then Shane Steichen, he also comes from a less of a spread offensive concept. What does Kellen Moore do? A lot of motion before the play. Eagles were one among the least motion pre-snap in the NFL. So there are some clear differences. And I'm glad Jalen Hurts brought that up, Nick, because now you will not see the same offense as last year.
No, you won't. And, it stinks for Jalen Hurts because now he's on his third offensive coordinator in 3 years, right? He had Steichen a couple years ago, Brian Johnson last year, and now this year, Kellen Moore. Like, it feels like, and throughout his career, in his college career, he transferred from Alabama to Oklahoma, right? So, like, he has gone through a bunch of changing of offensive schemes throughout his career. So it's not like, oh yeah, he's used to it. He's changed it over time, right? He's always changing offenses. It's very difficult to change a majority of what you already knew over the past couple years now to something completely different. You're going to see more motion, right? You're going to see more creativity out of a Kellen Moore offense. And with Jalen Hurts, for him, it's like, wow, 95% of the offense is going to be new. How does this adjust? And especially when you have no preseason, right? You're not going to really be playing much in the preseason. Over the past couple of years, that's been a thing, right? The starters aren't really going to play too much in the preseason. So it's going to be those first couple of weeks of the season where you're kind of installing and trying out everything new that you learned over in training camp, right? With this new install of the offense. So this is something to watch for the first couple of weeks of the year, right? Like, this is a brand new scheme that kind of Jalen Hurts is going to have to get familiar with, as well as the rest of the guys on the offensive side, because we know how dull the offense was last year, Josh. It was really dull, not much going on, not much pre-snap motion, etc. And you're going to see a little bit more of that this season. I wonder how Hurts adjusts. I think they'll be fine, but you're going to see the growing pains, like you mentioned just a couple minutes ago.
It's interesting because you mentioned about Hurts, all the offenses he's been through. People forget, he went from high school senior year to last year. Sorry, I'm at 2022 was the last time he went through that many years with a different offense coordinator every single year. 2021, 2022 is the first time in his football life the guy has had the same coordinator in his ear calling plays. So you're right. There is a part who kind of looks at Hurts and feels bad for him because it's like, my goodness, guy's learning another new offense. That may be part of the reason why he was so blah at the press conference more than usual, because maybe he's a little disinterested and maybe he's just like, you guys don't understand how tough this is, man.
There's only 5%. Only 5% staying from last year.
And what is a 5% anyway?
I think he just made the number up, probably.
Of course he did. But, and I don't think it's literally 95%. It might be more like 80%. I don't know. But the larger point is that Hurts, obviously, he wants to be proficient in his offense. And he wants people to understand that it's a process. It's a work in progress. And there are some interesting differences because remember, Kellen Moore, don't take the Chargers year and read too much into it because Justin Herbert got injured that year and every other player on the team got injured that year. It was ridiculous. They were down to their third string quarterback last year with the Chargers. But Kellen Moore likes to pressure the opposing defense. He likes to manipulate opponents and get them out of position. The Steichen Sirianni way is not to do that, Nick. The Steichen Sirianni way is to read and react to the defense. So it's two different philosophies. It's you go from walking up to the line and reacting to a defensive front to now saying we're going to manipulate the other team and we're going to pressure them into breaking. Completely different approach, completely different attitude. And I think outside of just the numbers that we could throw at people here on 97.3, Josh Hennig and Nick Earnshaw filling in for Mike Gill on a Monday afternoon. For the Eagles, Nick, if you are a team that is trying to rectify what went wrong last year, this is one way to rectify it, basically saying we are going to hit the reset button.
Yeah, we're essentially starting over, changing our entire philosophy to something new, something more fresh. Now, I'll even throw this out there to you, Josh, and the listeners out there. So if you want to text in 609-403-0973, I'll even throw this out there because Kellen Moore, he's gone through a couple changes over the past couple of years, going from Dallas to the Chargers as well to the Eagles now. Now, what if they do have a good year? What if they do have a nice year next year? The offense is stellar. They go on a deep playoff run. Kellen Moore could be out of here after 1 year. Like, that's another thing that's crossed my mind, Josh. Like, after this year, if everything goes to plan, hopefully it does. I know everything's changing. We might see some struggles early on in the season because of the change in philosophy. But what if everything goes well, Josh? That's another question you have to think and have on the back burner of your brain, because if everything goes well, Kellen Moore could get a job next year. He could leave again. So what does that do for your franchise quarterback continually making adjustments and learning new offenses every single year? And like you mentioned, he's done this since high school. He did this in college, and he hasn't had back-to-back years a ton throughout his young career of learning that same offense. That's something I think people should watch for, like, going forward. Like, okay, yes, right now it's early. It's still June. We haven't even training camp yet. But I'm just saying, like, what if they do have a big year offensively? Everything kind of goes to plan. Hurts has this MVP type year, and then Kellen Moore goes off and gets another job. I think that's something that people should keep in the back of their minds just in case, because this could be a question every single offseason we're talking about with Jalen Hurts, right? Is he learning a new offense every single year? I mean, that's how the NFL goes, but that's something to keep in the back of your mind.
And what's interesting is that for the people like to point out that Hurts didn't have a great year last year, but Pro Football Focus did a breakdown of the quarterbacks last year, and it shows that Jalen Hurts was one of the most efficient quarterbacks on intermediate throws last year. He was actually the only quarterback of the 35 qualifying quarterbacks, according to Pro Football Focus, to not have a turnover-worthy play, despite making 99 attempts that could have been turnovers. They weren't turnovers on intermediate passing. So what does that say? The majority of Hurts's turnovers last year were not on plays that he was reading immediately. They were on predetermined throws. And this gets back to the thing I was screaming about last year here on 97.3 ESPN. And I argued with everyone about on the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. There is a huge, huge difference between the throw that the quarterback is told to make and the quarterback decides to make. And there were a lot of those turnovers that were predetermined for Hurts to go to a certain play. Because where does Brian Johnson's coaching experience come from? College. And what do they do to the college quarterback? Almost every college quarterback who is not named like Peyton Manning, right? Or Andrew Luck. Option one, option two, run or get the ball out of your hands. There is literally determined throws in every single formation. This has been broken down by the people like Brian Baldinger and Dan Orlovsky and Emery Hunt and Greg Cosell, people who know more football than we do, okay? So I'm not some savant over here. I'm telling you what smart football people say. If Jalen Hurts made a lot of turnovers because he was told he was not allowed to make adjustments or make changes to patterns, then why are we hating on this guy, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, if this is what he was told to do last year, right? Go to the first read. this is already predetermined for you, then you can't blame it on Jalen Hurts. I mean, that's why everyone was so frustrated with Brian Johnson last year, because the offense was so stale. It was like, all right, go to your first read, maybe second read, then take off if you need to. And that's why it was so easy for opposing defenses to figure out what the Eagles were doing. Like, it was just easy for them. And you heard in different press conferences that opposing teams were able to figure out what the Eagles were doing because it was so basic. It was college-esque, high school-esque basic offense for the Eagles last year, and Brian Johnson and what he installed. It was easy to figure out from just watching the game. I mean, you could see it as a fan how simple their offense was last year. And I'm not going to put all the blame on Brian Johnson. Obviously, there were some execution issues as well, but a majority of the blame should go to him, and that's why he's not here anymore, because it was such a bland offense, such an easy offense for defenses to figure out. And you heard opposing players last year. There were times after games they would talk about what the Eagles were going to run. We already knew what was going to happen. It was so easy to figure out on film.
And Jason Kelce said after the season that one of the things they had to do was get more creative with the offense. It lacked creativity. And Travis even said to him on the New Heights podcast, he was like, "What are you trying to say the coaches didn't, have enough flexibility?" He's like, kind of, yeah. Like we lacked the creativity. And I know Geoff from Ocean City chimes in and says, "What about the play that Hurts and AJ Brown drew up in the sand against the Seattle Seahawks?" That's part of the reason. Why would the players think they have to draw up a play if the coaches were giving them more variety in the offense? And by the way, that was also a predetermined throw, because only a bunch of players on the field in the fourth quarter would say, "You know what we should do? Let's throw deep to Quez Watkins." No coach is saying, "Let's throw deep to Quez Watkins in the end zone," and not throw it to Brown, Smith, Goddard, and a partridge in a pear tree. No, only a bunch of players who play a lot of Madden would say, "Hey, bro, you know what we should do? Here's a good idea." Because here's the problem. For as smart as these players are, for as much time they spend studying tape and everything, you know what they don't have in the middle of the game, Nick? They don't have the bird's eye view from the coach's box.
No.
They don't have the in real time views that coaches have of the whole field. So it doesn't matter if the quarterback is Peyton Manning, Tom Brady, Joe Montana, Johnny Unitas, Dan Marino. At some point, the coach can see more than those quarterbacks can. And that's a big reason why that bad play was made in the Seahawks game, because when you're drawing up a play in the sand, as Geoff from Ocean City says, it's one of the reasons why the players have limitations, because there's a huge difference between, hey, we're coming to the line. And I've heard a lot of people talk about this, about how like almost every play in the NFL has an A and B side. It's like every play when you go to the line, when the quarterback audibles, he's not always audibling to a brand new play. He's audibling to the second play that was called in the huddle.
Right.
So there's a huge difference between saying, "Hey, we're going to go to the second option this play," or maybe there's something in the playbook. Like I heard Travis Kelce talk about how there are 3-4 plays out of one play for the Kansas City Chiefs. So if we project that to other NFL offenses, let's say that there's 3 plays that are split off of every play. It's like, you ever watch the quarterback show on Netflix?
Yes.
Kirk Cousins used to explain how it would be like, he said, Z22, but if I say X22, it's a different play. Or if I say, brown X or yellow X or blue X, it's a different play. Like all of these variables.
It's coded differently.
Right. But they all come out of one play. So there's very possible that, we got to remember that there's a huge difference between if Hurts is walking up to the line with 2 or 3 plays to call and he audibles from one to another versus let's draw up a completely new play in the sand.
And I'll even add this. Do you remember going into last year, because of the prior relationship that Brian Johnson and Jalen Hurts had, we all thought, oh, this is going to be a great match, right? They've known each other for a long time. Like Brian Johnson's known Hurts since he was, I guess, in preschool, kindergarten or whatever.
Something like that.
They've known each other for a long time. And we thought, okay, this dynamic could work. it just did not mix well. And it was just too bland of an offense. And that's the change you're going to see this year, I think, with Kellen Moore. I mean, he's worked with really good quarterbacks. I don't know if I called Dak Prescott really good. I called him okay. He's fine. In Dallas, fine. But, he worked with Justin Herbert, and, he was a quarterback himself. So I think with the Eagles and Jalen Hurts this year, it's about being more creative, not showing what you're going to have, like what the play is going to be beforehand, and having it tell every single time you go out there, because that can hurt an offense. And that's why we saw them struggle so much offensively last year, because the defense knew what was coming. If the defense doesn't know what was coming, it makes it much harder to stop. And when you have playmakers like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, Goddard, now Saquon Barkley, you have to get all those guys involved and be creative. If you don't have a creative offensive mind leading the charge and getting those guys involved, you're going to get what happened last year again. And I think Kellen Moore is going to bring that creativity, that motion we looked for, to disguise what plays are going to be happening on the field throughout the season. Because you can't have what happened last year and be so predictable each and every time you have a drive.
Mark from EHC brings up an interesting point at 609-403-0973. Mark says, this is even more reason why the first string has to get play in the preseason. You can't use those first 2 real games as practice games anymore to ramp up. That's from Mark and EHT. That's an interesting point.
Well, that's what I mentioned. I meant you're not going to be seeing these guys in the preseason anymore. Like that's kind of the new
should
thing,
we?
Right? I think so.
The Chiefs play in the preseason.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with it. I'm with Mark. I think that you should see these guys in the preseason, especially when your quarterback is publicly saying 95% of the offense is new. Go out there and get the reps in. Like, training camp is not the same as game speed. It's not the same.
So, for example, I feel like, Nick, you and Mark at EHU be in the same boat.
Yeah.
Against the idea that inter-squad practices are as good as a preseason game.
Heck no. You got to get in-game reps. That has to happen. And I get everyone's so scared to death to get hurt. I understand that. But you got to send them out for a quarter or 2 or something, a half in these games. You don't have as many preseason games anymore. So that's another aspect to this. They're not going to be playing 4 preseason games. They could play in 2. So, you know what I mean? Like, if you're not getting the reps in the preseason and at game speed, it's not the same as training camp, then you're not going to get the same feel as when you go out there week 1, and you're going to be learning on the fly in important games that matter. I think you got to get those in-game reps at game speed. The training camp is not the same. It's just not.
It's interesting because it depends on who you ask, right?
Yeah.
I've heard some coaches and players put a higher value on the inter-squad practices in the preseason games. I've heard other people say that you can't simulate game speed.
You can't.
So I'm not trying to remove myself from the argument, but I'm just saying I've seen both sides. I've heard both arguments, and because I never played professional football, for a variety of reasons, obviously, I am not going to act like that I know the right answer to that. But what I do know is that there is obviously some sort of differentiation between the two. And I wish I had a better answer for what that is.
Yeah, it's just like, do you remember over the past couple of years, how slow of a start each team has gotten off of? And we've talked about kind of the product of the NFL, right? How much does that have to do with not getting the in-game reps in the preseason? That's something to do with that. I very much believe that the product of the NFL has been down a little bit, especially in the early weeks, because they're essentially turning into preseason games. These are the first game speed reps that the starters are really getting for most of the NFL because they're not playing in the preseason. That's why we've seen the product kind of come down a little bit and not be, I guess, over the top as strong as we've seen in years past, because you're not getting those reps in preseason. I understand the other side of the argument, though. I get it, because you don't want to get guys hurt. Everyone's worried about that too. But they think they can get more in practice. Fine. I understand that point of view, but I think it's so important to get those reps in the preseason, because when you get to the regular season, these games matter more, and they're acting like preseason games essentially because you didn't get those reps early on in August.
Yeah, it's interesting. And just to get to the number side of this, there are some stats I wrote about in 973 ESPN. I want to give to you, Nick, real quick to get your reaction, because I wrote about this on the website. I said, one of the differences between Moore's offense and the Eagles is that over the last 3 seasons, Nick Sirianni's Eagles offenses, the top 2 running backs average 75 targets per season. Under Kellen Moore in the 4 years in Dallas, Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard combined for 97.7 targets per season. So you are looking at an average of 20 more pass targets per year for the Eagles running backs moving forward. What is your reaction to the idea of seeing more running backs catching the ball?
I love it. I absolutely think it's fantastic. And that's why you go out and get a Saquon Barkley, right? Get this guy involved in the passing game a little bit. We talked about the creativity, Josh, of the offense. If you're able to get a guy out in open space, set up some screens for a guy like Saquon Barkley, we know he could take it to the house, right? So I'm all for that. I want to see them get their running backs more involved in the passing game. I think that's fantastic because we know how good the Eagles are when they're able to run the ball and get their running backs involved. In years past, now you have an absolute stud 3-down back in Saquon Barkley who you want to get involved in a variety of ways and disguise what you're doing on offense. I think that I'm a big proponent of passing it out of the backfield, especially when you go and add a guy like Saquon Barkley in this backfield who's a 3-down back and can take it to the house at any point.
We're going to get some differences between the Kellen Moore offense and the Eagles offenses in years past coming up next on the Sports Bash. Plus, Cole from LBI texted in, and I strongly disagree with his take on the Eagles offense. I'll tell you why coming up next. Josh Hennig, Nick Earnshaw live in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios here on 97.3 ESPN. Filling in for Mike Gill on a Monday afternoon. Keep your text coming in. 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. And don't forget still to come football for Geoff Mosher joins the show coming up at 4 p.m.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
On 97.3 ESPN.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers, excludes Corvette, excludes prior sales.
Don't buy a car anywhere until you hear this. Bennett Chevy must sell 200 vehicles immediately. So right now, brand new Chevys are on sale at the GM supplier employee price. That's right, you pay what we pay. Plus, you keep all the rebates, saving you as much as 10% off MSRP. You heard right, you get both GM supplier employee prices, plus you get all the rebates up to 10% off MSRP. And because Bennett must move 200 new and used vehicles, we'll give you a minimum $10,000 for any rotted out old clunker, even if it was on fire. Yes, a minimum 10 grand for any clunker towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. Imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. These are real deals you won't get anywhere else but Bennett Chevy. So you must hurry for best selection. With deals like this, nobody beats a Bennett deal, and I mean nobody. Together, let's drive at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
It's common knowledge that after age 30, our metabolism changes. We have less energy and gain weight easier. There's a way to feel better, not in years or months, but sometimes in just days.
I'm Chuck Norris. I tried everything. Working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick. Morning Kick is a revolutionary new formula that combines all my favorite supplements into one daily drink.
Morning Kick has probiotics to help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and powerful anti-aging supplements. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, and helps manage stress.
I look and feel better than I have in years.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com, use code SUPPORT, or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off. Roundhouseprovisions.com, code SUPPORT.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee. You could be feeling these changes within just a couple of days.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Time for an oil change? Right now, you can save on Valvoline Restore and Protect, the only oil that restores and protects your engine to like factory clean. You can also save on brakes, tools, and more during the Father's Day sale with dad-approved deals through June 16th. AutoZone Father's Day sale, now through the 16th.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Progressive asks, what do an escaped leopard,
We're live from the zoo where a leopard has escaped.
a growling stomach, an uneaten tuna sandwich, and a backdoor doggy door have in common? they can lead to an unexpected kitchen renovation.
Yeah, hi. Is this the zoo? Your leopard is in my kitchen.
Bundle your home and auto with Progressive for great savings and round-the-clock protection.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Not available in all states or situations.
Why do so many dogs suffer from weight issues, skin problems, and low energy? It could be the popular dog food you put in their bowl each day. Veterinarian Dr. Marty created Nature's Blend, made with wholesome ingredients like premium meats, seeds, vegetables, and fruit. Save up to 54% off Nature's Blend, plus receive a free pack of our best-selling beef liver dog treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Powered by NJM. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. This is the Town Square, New Jersey info.
I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN question of the day. With the Philadelphia Phillies falling in Game 2 in the London series against the New York Mets and the bullpen struggling, it got us wondering, should the Phillies really prioritize an outfield right-handed bat over a bullpen arm? Let us know by texting 609-403-0973 or use the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. For me, I think you got to go bullpen arm over right-handed bat. Give Rob Thompson another option out of the bullpen. Once again, text in at 609-403-0973. Your forecast is next.
Did you know that New Jersey is leading the nation in clean energy investments?
Really, New Jersey?
And all with one thing in mind. You.
Me?
Uh-huh. New Jersey's Clean Energy Program offers incentives and services that benefit New Jersey residents, businesses, education, government, and nonprofit entities to help them save energy, money, and the environment.
Save money while saving the planet. Who knew?
Now you do. Visit njcleanenergy.com to learn even more.
Maybe we should change our nickname to the Clean Energy State.
A message from the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Pretty good week for outdoor activities. I have to mention a few raindrops late tonight into tomorrow, but our next chance of widespread rain doesn't arrive until Friday afternoon. Partly cloudy tonight, low is 60. Tomorrow, chance of a stray shower, just a little pop-up at some point. Partly sunny, high 75. More of the same on Wednesday, partly sunny and 79, becoming more summer-like with highs in the 80s on Thursday. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Hey, it's Tom P., host of Rack and Fin Radio, inviting you to join me every Saturday morning at 7 here on 97.3 ESPN FM. Each week, we discuss the hot topics affecting the sportsmen and sportswomen in New Jersey. Hunting, fishing, boating, conservation, and Second Amendment topics are some of the issues that are covered in depth.
Rack and Fin Radio is brought to you by Utch's Marina.
That's Rack and Fin Radio with me, Tom P., every Saturday morning at 7 on 97.3 ESPN FM, South Jersey's sports leader.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
On 97.3 ESPN.
3:32 here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig along with Nick Earnshaw, filling in for Mike Gill. Here on 97.3 ESPN, the 3 o'clock hour being brought to you by Broadleys Plumbing, Heating and Air Conditioning. Broadleys is your trusted source for heating and plumbing installation for generations. Call them at 609-390-3907 or visit them online at broadleys.net. All right, before I get to the other stat I had for you, Nick, I didn't want to ignore Cole from LBI. Just because someone doesn't agree with me doesn't mean I'm going to ignore them at 609-403-0970. But I think it's a bad take from Cole from LBI. So, Nick, you can be the arbiter of this back and forth between me and Cole, okay? Okay. Am I if I turned your microphone?
Yeah, it'd be good. Nice.
Yeah.
There we are.
Yeah.
I know you want to silence me, Josh, over here. Some of my takes, I know you don't want to hear from me, but it's all right. I'll be the arbiter here.
Well, this time I'll let you talk, okay? How about that?
I'm good.
So Cole from LBI says, I think the Eagles' offense is going to be a bleep show this year. Hurts needs someone in his ear with the answers. He always has had someone doing that. And I think Moore's answers will be too aggressive for Hurts. Also, if Hurts isn't as athletic as he was in 2022, then 2024 will look like the second half of 2023. Hurts had a career low yards per catch throwing last year, and he looked slow because he was beat up. That's from Cole and LBI. So I aggressively disagree with this, and here's why. So first of all, if you go through Hurts's career, right, unless you are going to tell me that guys like Mike Loxley and Brian Daboll and Bill O'Brien and Steve Sarkisian and Lane Kiffin were all like elite people in Jalen Hurts' ear, then maybe I could rock with that. If you're going to tell me that Lincoln Riley is the reason why Jalen Hurts was a Heisman Trophy candidate, maybe that's your theory, right? If your theory is that he is not as good of a quarterback without Shane Steichen, maybe it has some weight. The problem is that if you are assuming that basically, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, Cole from LBI, but what you're basically saying is that Hurts is too much of an idiot to learn the playbook and that he is easily manipulated by the coordinator in his ear. I think that is a very gross assumption and projection onto a player where, hey, guess what? You point to a career low yards per catch last year. I point to the fact that he had 99 intermediate passes and none of them were interceptions last year. So whose stat has more value? The problem with arguments like this, Nick Earnshaw, is that what you're doing is you're doing the old axiom that, it's facts versus true facts. There are facts that we find and support our arguments, and then there are true facts that actually create the argument for us. I feel called from LBI because you have a predisposed opinion of Jalen Hurts that you are looking at it already negative instead of seeing that Kellen Moore can be a positive for the Eagles quarterback.
Yeah, I'm with you because you could pull any stat to support your argument, right? I mean, anyone could do that. I just think when it comes to Jalen Hurts, it seems like Cole already has this preconceived notion that he's not going to be able to run this year, right? Like he's not going to be able to do what he's done in the past. And because of the new offensive coordinator in Kellen Moore, that he's going to struggle because of this. Like Kellen Moore's going to be too much for Jalen Hurts to handle. I just don't believe that. I don't believe that whatsoever. I think they'll be fine. I think Hurts will be okay. Listen, he might have been banged up last year. That's fine. But I just can't see them going back and reverting back to what happened last year because you do have different voices in there this season, right? You have Vic Fangio on defensive side, you have offensive side, you have Kellen Moore. Like you have different voices in there. I think Jalen Hurts will be fine. I just don't believe in this thing that he just needs someone to zero the whole time and it just might be too much for him. I'm not on that train, Josh.
Yeah, and I feel like in order for someone like Cole from LBI to take that position, you're making the assumption that Hurts is just not an intelligent enough quarterback.
Right.
And I feel like if you go through Hurts's playing career, whether it was college or the NFL, he's never been a high turnover, high interception guy until last year, right? So, I don't think it's fair to say that Moore is too aggressive for him or, the look at now, Colt from LBI says it's yards per carry is what he meant, not yards per catch. But again, yards per carry doesn't answer the question. See, you're looking at it as he's a running quarterback. Hurts has always had this apprehension to running the ball. He only ran the ball when he needs to. He's not like a Michael Vick or a Steve Young that leaned into their running ability more than their throwing ability. Hurts has always been a guy who saw running the ball as not the primary option on a play. So I don't care what his yards per carry are because guess what? Half those carries were, Philly special, push or whatever we're calling it at this point. The plays even. So like if you take out all of those tush pushes, Nick, I don't know how that affects the yards per carry, but I'm assuming it does,
Yeah.
I mean, it is a carry when he does the QB sneak on the 4th and 1. So I don't factor in the yards per carry as a measure of anything. I'm looking at it of who he is as a quarterback because that's who he is. He's a quarterback and I'm going to judge him as a quarterback. I'm not going to judge him as a runner. I'm not going to judge him as a scrambling or a mobile quarterback because at the end of the day, unless your name is Kirk Cousins, everyone in the NFL today is a mobile quarterback on some level.
Right. And you see that across the league, like the threat to run. Like that's what makes Jalen Hurts so good. Because if he can pass it, which he can, he also has the threat to run and get creative with his legs. And I think that's important, an important aspect to the offense. So I don't believe that he's like not this intelligent quarterback, because I think he's an extremely intelligent quarterback. And I think they'll be okay with Kellen Moore coming in here and, disguising the offense a little bit better and putting in a system where you're disguising yourself and not putting Jalen Hurts into harm's way as well, right? Like having him have more turnovers than he's had in previous years, right? Like his numbers were up with that because the offense was so bland last year. You don't want to see him be put in positions where, he's going to be throwing all these interceptions this year, or he's going to fumble because the first read wasn't there and he doesn't know where to go after that. I think they'll be okay. I don't believe in this notion that Jalen Hurts is just going to all of a sudden stink and be this awful quarterback. I'm just not a believer in that, because that's not his mentality, and that's not what he's shown in the past. He's shown that when you doubt him, he'll be okay.
Brian EHT agrees with you, Nick,
Oh.
at 609-403-0973. Brian EHT says you can never bet against Jalen Hurts. He always does his best when it's back against the wall, when people hate on him. So keep the hate coming, because he will be at his best.
I'm with Brian on that one. How about that? Me and Brian on the same wavelength, Josh.
Yeah, look at that. Now, the other stat I told you I want to give you about Kellen Moore's offenses, right? So over the last 3 seasons under Nick Sirianni, Eagles tight ends, if you combine all the tight ends, Nick, they are averaging 4.3 touchdown catches per season. Kellen Moore, between the 4 years in Dallas combined with the 1 year with the Chargers, Kellen Moore called offenses. The tight end is averaging almost 8 touchdown catches per season. It's actually 7.88 is the number, but I rounded it up to 8 just to But the point is that, so you're averaging almost 4 more touchdown catches for tight ends in Kellen Moore's offense compared to Nick Sirianni.
Yeah, and I think that's a huge reason why I like this hire, because they're going to get the running back involved, right? We talked about that before the break. They're going to get the running back involved in the passing game. Kellen Moore offenses have gotten the ball to running backs about 20 more times than Nick Sirianni led offenses, right? So I think by getting the tight end involved and getting the running back involved, you're going to see Kellen Moore do something where he's going to be able to get everyone involved, right? Spread the weapons around, right? It was too one-dimensional. It felt like Jalen Hurts would always have to go to A.J. Brown, and just target him last year. It was so one-dimensional, Brian Johnson's offense last year. This year, I think you're going to see more of the ball getting spread around. Now, I don't know how great that'll be for fantasy football players and when you draft an Eagles player, but I think you're going to see, like, what was it? How many games in was it last year until Dallas Goedert scored a touchdown? Like, we kept waiting for them to get Dallas Goedert involved. Like, you have all these weapons. You need someone at the helm to be able to get the ball to each one of these guys in a way that's going to move the offense down the field instead of becoming predictable and getting it and being one-dimensional and just getting it to one player. Get all the talent you have involved. That's why you're paying them. That's why they're here. You didn't see that as much last year, even though Devontae Smith had a quiet 1,000-yard season. You want to get your running back involved. You want to get Dallas Goedert involved in the passing game. I think you're going to see the creativity of Kellen Moore on display this year.
Dallas Goedert's first touchdown last year was week 5, and he had a catch in week 7 touchdown, and no more until week 16.
Well, he got hurt too, so that was
he did, but it's still the note that
5 weeks in,
he came back and played 1, 2, 3 games before he scored a touchdown after the injury.
Yeah. So what was that? It was against the Rams. He scored that first touchdown, I believe, right? Week 5 last year.
Yes, against the Rams. He had a touchdown against the Rams and the Dolphins. And then no more until the Arizona game, which they should have won, but they lost.
Yeah, that's a weapon you want to utilize. You want to get your tight ends involved and scoring in the red zone. Like, they had problems in the red zone. You have so much talent on the offensive side of the ball. You got to spread it around and get creative down when you're inside the 20. So I think you're going to see that a little bit more. And I think they'll be fine. And when you have players like that, and A.J. Brown, Dallas Goedert, Devontae, Saquon, you got to be able to get them all involved, and I think they will.
But for those who are wondering, under Shane Steichen the year before, Goedert had 3 touchdown catches the entire year. Week 3 against Washington. Let's see here. I got to scroll down. Week 8 against Houston, which almost nobody saw because the Phillies were playing that night. And then week 9 against Washington. So he actually scored both Washington games, 2 of his 3 touchdown catches in 2022.
Yeah, Dallas Goedert's a guy I feel like just been underutilized by the Eagles at times, especially last year. And I know he's had some injury issues, but they got to find a way to get him involved and take the pressure off the outside receivers, right? Like, you have all these weapons, use them. Use a guy like Dallas Goedert. He's there for a reason. Like, use your guys that you've drafted, like Dallas Goedert. I mean, they've had really good tight ends over the years, right? Brent Selleck. Then you had Zach Ertz, and now you have Dallas Goedert. I don't think they've utilized Dallas Goedert as much as they probably should have, like they did with a Zach Ertz and a Brent Selleck.
He's Nick Earnshaw. I'm Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN Live in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios. Still to come, Football on 4 with Geoff Mosher, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast in about 15 minutes from now. Also, still to come, we will get into the conversation with the Phillies as well. Bob Wankel from Crossing Broad will join us later in the show. Coming up next, though, I have a question about not the offense for the Eagles. We're talking a lot of offense this hour, but one of my biggest takeaways, Nick, from minicamp was about the defense, and we're going to get into that coming up next. Josh Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN. Nick Earnshaw joining me here in the studio, filling in for Mike Gill on a Monday afternoon.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And if you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Hey, it's Mike Gill, and do I have a deal for you? Bring any written estimate for a new 2024 Acura from another Acura dealer over to my friend Rocco at Key Acura of Atlantic City, and he will beat that price by $500 and give you an additional $500 on your trade. And now through June 30th, get a 36-month lease on a 2024 Integra for just $299 a month with $49.95 down. Key Acura, Chilton Road, EAT. Your small but friendly dealer. See dealer for details.
Is switching your wireless service to Total by Verizon easy? Now you can get 50% off any unlimited data phone plan. That's one line for only $25 a month, and you keep the phone you love. Hurry, this is a limited time offer. So find a store or switch suavemente at totalbyverizon.com. Offer ends July 31st, 2024. Promo subject to cancellation after 12 months. Available exclusively online and in Total by Verizon stores. Requires a compatible login with Verizon.com for device compatibility and additional details. Taxes and fees may apply.
With Wendy's new $3 English muffin deal, you can get your choice of a sausage or bacon, egg, and cheese English muffin with small seasoned potatoes.
And with all that for just $3, it really is a proper breakfast, wouldn't you say? With a light and fluffy toasted English muffin and crispy seasoned potatoes. Go on, Catherine, give it a go.
Okay. Jolly good morning.
Close, love. Grab a proper breakfast with Wendy's new $3 English muffin deal for a limited time.
U.S. price and participation may vary. Select a request English muffin deal to obtain discount. Not valid for a la carte or combo orders. Single item at regular price. Prices are higher in Alaska and Hawaii.
Hi, this is Brighton Richards from Apex East Roofing. You know, the blonde-haired girl in the pink truck. We are the first and only certified fortified roofer in New Jersey, able to install hurricane, wind, and hail-secured roofs. The spring is the perfect time of year to get these roofs installed so that you're prepared for the upcoming hurricane season. Certified fortified roofs can also lower your insurance premiums. For more info, visit apexeastroofing.com.
Get a price on your roof in 30 seconds at apexeastroofing.com.
Thanks for calling Discover. This is Diego.
Hi, Diego. It's Jennifer Coolidge. You know, I just want to say your cashback match makes me feel so special. It really inspired me.
That's great. Doubling the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year is what we do.
Well, I'm doubling everything now. Double dating, double dipping, double feature, double header, double whammy. You know, basically double or nothing.
You earn, we match. Discover Cashback Match. See terms at discover.com/creditcard.
Hey Philly, Burger King has cooked up something special for you. The new Philly Royal Crispy Chicken Wrap, filled with melty cheese, flame grilled peppers and onions, rolled up in a soft, warm tortilla. It's just $2.99 and only around for a limited time. So grab one, or maybe two, while you limited time only at participating Philadelphia, Pennsylvania area restaurants. Tax extra.
This is the story of the one. As head of maintenance at a concert hall, he knows the show must always go on. That's why he works behind the scenes, ensuring every light is working, the HVAC is humming, and his facility shines. With Granger's supplies and solutions for every challenge he faces, plus 24/7 customer support, his venue never misses a beat. Call quickgranger.com or just stop by. Granger, for the ones who get it done.
Here at Total Wine & More, our amazing selection means you'll always
love what you find.
Dad, what are you doing here?
Just getting a sneak peek at my Father's Day gifts.
Well, I was thinking of getting you this Barrel Select bourbon.
That's a really nice bottle.
And Total Wine has it at the totally lowest price.
Wow, you always were my favorite.
Thanks, Dad.
Talking to the bourbon, sweetie.
Find what you love what you find. Like the perfect gift for Dad at the perfect price. Only at Total Wine & More.
And drink responsibly. B21.
Pro Paint Days are back at Lowe's. Save $40 on select 5-gallon HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams paint, like Weather Shield, Showcase, or ceiling paint. Plus, save $10 on drywall PVA primer and get free same-day delivery to the job site when you order by 2 p.m. Lowe's knows paint. Lowe's knows pros. Offers valid through 6/14. Delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
New Swift Promotions is coming to Atlantic City. Mark your calendars for June 15th at the Boardwalk Hall. Witness the thrill of live boxing like never before. Don't miss out on the action-packed event of the summer. Get your tickets now. Tale of Garcia, where champions are made and legends are born.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
3:51 here on The Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill along with Nick Earnshaw here in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios. 3 o'clock hour being brought to you by Broadleys Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning. Broadleys is your trusted source for heating and air conditioning services, along with plumbing for generations. Installation, service, and maintenance. Call Broadleys at 609-390-3907 or visit them online at broadleys.net. All right, I was going to talk about the Eagles defense here. We got to save this because I just learned a very disappointing factoid about Nick Earnshaw. So, which, first of all,
I don't think this is true, by the way.
Okay, so I saw a preview during the break that the production is underway for Knives Out 3. So, the popular movie with Daniel Craig is kind of like a half parody, half not of Sherlock Holmes and Hercule Poirot kind of movies. They're like, crime, murder mysteries, right? Yeah. And it's always got these great casts in them. Well, I found out that Nick Earnshaw has not seen either of the first 2 Knives Out movies.
No.
To which I asked him, do you really watch movies? So Nick told me literally during the break, I watch sports and Seinfeld reruns.
That's essentially all I watch.
So now I know the real reason why Mike Gill hired you. Because Mike Gill references Seinfeld more than anything else. Okay? And he watches a lot of sports and he doesn't watch movies. So I need to know, Nick Earnshaw, what is the last movie you watched?
I think the last movie I watched, I was thinking about it. It was Saving Private Ryan was the last movie I watched. And then I was watching a World War II documentary over the weekend. So, I'm very boring when it comes to stuff I watch. But I think that was the last movie I watched was Saving Private Ryan.
What's the last fun movie you watched?
I rewatch Air a lot. Moneyball. Those are some ones I've watched over the past couple of weeks.
I will give you Moneyball. All right.
Have you seen Air? The one about Jordan?
Matt Damon's in that, right?
Yes, Matt Damon.
Yes, that was a very good movie.
I thought that's one of my favorite movies of all time now.
All time.
Wow. That's an all-timer from where I thought it was fantastic. It's a big Jordan guy. It's a big Jordan guy. I loved Air. I thought Air was fantastic. Some people didn't like it. They thought it was too much of an ad for Nike. I don't care. I thought it was a cool movie. I like Jordan sneakers. I have the sneaker. I enjoy.
So really quick. So if I asked you to make a list of your favorite sports movies,
yes,
could you make 10?
Yeah, of course. I already got them in my phone, essentially.
Okay, so maybe not today, but maybe a conversation the next time you and I fill in for Mike Gill.
Sounds good.
We will have a top 10 sports movies conversation.
And what I will do for the rest of the show is I will drop some Seinfeld isms throughout the rest of the show and see if you pick up on it.
And I probably won't.
I'm sure some listeners will. I dropped a few on Friday if you noticed.
I noticed
there was a couple. There was a couple I dropped.
There was a couple I didn't notice. I only noticed once. If you drop more than one, I didn't notice.
I'll make a signal for you when I drop a sign.
Oh, a signal?
Yeah, I'll do a
like
signal.
Like the middle finger? Or like,
I'll tell you number one. Yeah, it's a number one show. No,
yeah, exactly.
You're number one.
That's what we did when I was in high school. We say, we're Cape May Tech. We're number one.
Yeah.
And we didn't use the index finger.
Use a different finger.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's Nick Earnshaw. I'm Josh Hennig, filling for Mike Gill. Football at 4 with Geoff Mosher coming on next on 97.3 ESPN.
New Jersey's got a lot of summer wow. From sun and wows to fun and wows. And every wow in between. Find your wow at visitnj.org. New Jersey, little state, lot of wow.
This Father's Day, the Home Depot has same-day delivery on the perfect gift to help Dad be everything he can be. Because your dad is more than just a dad. He's groundskeeper of the yard, the perfecter of the patio, and the cleaner of the clippings. Let the Home Depot help power Dad's doing with the convenience and gas-like power of Milwaukee cordless outdoor tools. Plus, get up to $150 off select Milwaukee tools. For everything Dad is, find the perfect gift at the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Order select and stock items by 4 p.m. subject to availability.
The roads to adventure come in many different forms. Some are smooth and some are rough. When you drive a 2024 Nissan Pathfinder, you can enjoy all the adventures you can handle. The Nissan Pathfinder has 7 drive modes and available intelligent 4-wheel drive that makes getting to your destination just as fun as the destination itself. The 2024 Nissan Pathfinder. Chase bigger and better adventures and enjoy the ride along the way. Find your Nissan Pathfinder today at nissanusa.com. Intelligent 4-wheel drive cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions.
A slow network is no network for business. That's why more choose Comcast Business. And now we're introducing Ultimate Speed for Business, our fastest plans yet. We're up to 12 times faster than Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. And existing customers could even get up to triple the speeds at no additional cost. All from the company with 99.9% network reliability and advanced cybersecurity. It's Ultimate Speed from Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Don't miss out on our fastest speed plans yet. Get started with internet for $59.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year contract. Plus, ask how to get up to an $800 prepaid card with a qualifying gig bundle. Don't wait. Call 1-800-501-6000 or go online to switch today. In 6/23/24, restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabits per second internet. Equal bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Compares Comcast Business 1.25 gig to 100 megabits per second of Verizon 5G Business, AT&T Wireless Broadband, and T-Mobile for Business. Up to 3 times downloads for current, essential, and standard customers.
Say hello to Lumi, the whole body deodorant developed with your whole body in mind. Pits, privates, and beyond. It's outrageously effective and clinically proven to block odor all day, anywhere you have body odor and wish you didn't, and keeps controlling odor up to 72 hours. Lumi is different. Developed by an OBGYN, Lumi goes beyond masking odor to control body odor in a way certain other deodorants and soap don't. Start controlling body odor everywhere, not just armpits. Experience whole body freshness from Lumi Whole Body Deodorant today. Go to LumiDeodorant.com to be the best smelling you of all time. There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 203 and get 15% off your first purchase with code 203, like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LumeDeodorant.com, code 203 for 15% off your first purchase. Love it or return it for free. That's LumeDeodorant.com, code 203 to save 15% today. LumeDeodorant.com.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Oh yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
If you're currently stuck in a loan or lease, AJ the Trade Man can get you released. MattBlattNissan.com. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
This is South Jersey Sports Leader, 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. 97.3 ESPN presents the Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast.
Just hungry to bring back another Lombardi to Philly. The fans deserve it. Our team deserves it. Culture begs for it.
Now live, this is Football at 4.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill along with Nick Earnshaw here in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios on 97.3 ESPN. Geoff Mosher is back for a Monday edition of Football at 4 here on 97.3 ESPN. Geoff, welcome back from the weekend. How you doing today?
I'm great. How are you guys doing? Beautiful summer weekend, summer-like weekend and day today.
Absolutely. It would be much better to be outside than inside on a day like today. So,
all right, so I can go? No, I'm just kidding.
You can go when we're done with you.
Fair enough.
We need to get some out of you, Mosher, first. Come on, we got to get a couple of things out of you first.
All right.
So I was listening to this morning's pod you guys dropped, you and Adam, this morning, and it kind of parlays into the conversation that Nick and I were having in the last hour before you jumped on, Geoff, which is about the importance of, you can't take anything specifically out of minicamp on the field, but what we can take out of it is, I thought it was important what Jalen Hurts said, which is that they're still learning a lot of this offense to do, and maybe not a literal 90%, Geoff, but it's the idea that Hurts is now learning another new offense. So talk to us for a minute, for someone like you who's covering this team day in, day out. Like, what does that mean to you when they're playing a new offense this year?
Well, I mean, I think it sort of remains to be seen what that all means for the new offense. We obviously hope for certain things, right? I just think that for Jalen, this is more than just I'm learning a new offense. This is I'm now learning another new offense, which goes back to college, right? And I remember when they drafted him, 2020, Doug Peterson's the head coach. And he talked about hoping to find some stability. And then obviously Doug Peterson gets fired, and then Nick Sirianni becomes head coach. And he kept going with that theme where he'd love to just have the same set of offensive coaches in the NFL, just to be able to, if you take any good quarterback or any good offensive scheme, right, you got a year one of it, you get a year two of it. And if you hope to have that by 5, 6, 7 years, like a Tom Brady and a Josh McDaniels scheme, for example, just to choose one, or Breeze and Sean Payton, then by that extra year, so much becomes second nature to you. So much becomes, this is what we do, and we can build off of it year after year, but we have our base, right? And he's never really had that luxury. And I did wonder, Josh, everybody picked apart his statements about Nick Sirianni as some sort of anti-Nick Sirianni sentiment, or maybe just not a pro Nick Sirianni statement. And what I wondered is, when he was asked the question, what does it say about Nick Sirianni that he's willing to step aside here and bring in somebody in an entirely new offense? Maybe his sort of lack of enthusiasm is that, how do we know he didn't actually like the last offense? Because 2 years ago, he was an MVP candidate in it. And last year, even with the valleys, along with the peaks, you almost felt like there were just a few things that needed to be done better. And that was picking up a blitz and maybe having some fresher route concepts, which to me, if you're an offensive mind, right, you're thinking that's something we can retain our base offense, but work on it. We can do better. We can go back and learn from our mistakes and have a whole offseason to do it. But that got just shredded up, right? And now it's a new offense. So I wonder, and I have no idea, only being in Jalen Hurts' head can you really know. I just wonder if his lack of enthusiasm was less about Nick Sirianni and more about, well, I was an MVP candidate in this offense 2 years ago. Yeah, it got a little stale. We could have freshened it up, but now I got to learn an entirely new offense.
So with that being said, so you're saying, and I'm not sure if a word in your mouth, so that's why I'm asking you to clarify.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like what you and Adam talked about this morning, what you just said here is that it's not that Hurts is unhappy with Sirianni. It's that Hurts is just like, you guys don't understand how much work I'm having to go through to learn something new again. A guy who had, I believe it was from his senior year in high school to 2022, a different offense coordinator in his year every football season.
Yeah, let me be perfectly clear for all of our listeners, your listeners, our listeners, crossover listeners. We have many and thousands, and we love them. I'm going to repeat. I don't know. Only you would have to be in Jalen Hurts' head or tie him down to a chair and attach a polygraph to him to really, truly know. And I have at times, and I think everybody has, wondered about his feeling about Nick Sirianni. And I think I mentioned on the podcast in the Super Bowl when they're reviewing the Devontae Smith sideline catch and Sirianni puts his hands up like first down and Jalen brushes it down. Those are little incidents that make you wonder, like, how does he really feel about his head coach? They're certainly wired differently. Nick Sirianni's wears his emotions on his sleeve. He's hot-headed, and Jalen Hurts is more of that Nick Saban, like, we don't show anybody anything, no reaction, So they are different in that regard. And maybe there is some lack of true love but I'm just saying, like, I don't think anybody has stopped and wondered about, everybody's so excited about the new offense. Nobody has really stopped and wondered, do you think Jalen Hurts was okay with the offense that, for 1 year he was an MVP candidate in, and then just maybe in his mind could have used some refreshing, some tweaks. Now he has to learn another new offense. We all saw what happened with Jason Campbell, who was a really nice quarterback at Auburn in college, but had a lot of different coordinators. And then in the NFL, from Washington to Oakland to I think one other spot, it seemed like he had a different offensive coordinator every year. And he talked about how difficult that was.
Hey, Geoff, I want to switch gears a little bit to the defensive side of the ball. And we know how many corners this team has. They're deep at corner. They signed a ton, right? I'm wondering about a guy like Eli Ricks. Now, Ricks they got a lot of run last year, got a lot of opportunity. They didn't really use him on the outside. They kind of used him on the inside a little bit in nickel. I'm curious to what his outlook is for this year and if he'll make the team.
Yeah, that's a great question, Nick. And here's another guy in a similar situation, but on the other end of the spectrum, where last year sucked offensively. But for Eli Ricks, when the dust settled, that coaching staff, they liked what they saw from him enough so that they moved him inside, had him working there. The Mario Goodrich experiment lasted about 2 weeks, and then it was Eli Ricks, and he got consistent playing time. But guess what? He wakes up now and he looks at Vic Fangio and Christian Parker, right, and the new DBs, the safeties coach that they brought back from Miami, who's the Joe Casper, and he's like, I don't know how these guys feel about me. Right? I mean, I got to reprove myself, but now I have to do it with Isaiah Rodgers in the fold, with year 2 of a 4th-round pick and Keely Ringo in the fold. So he's going to be in that position, Nick, of having to prove himself anyway. I think, though, last year gave him at least some good experience and some confidence where he can go into camp saying, I don't care what it looks like right now. Right now, it looks like Ringo. Right now, it looks like Rodgers, right? It looks like I'm 5th. If you add Cooper DeJean and Mitchell and Slay, I'm on the outside looking in. But if you remember, Josh Jobe last year had a great camp and was the flavor of the week as soon as James Bradbury got hurt, but then he wasn't 2 or 3 weeks later. So there's an opportunity, whether on special teams, nickel, outside, to go have a good camp and make this team.
Talk with Geoff Mosher from the Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com. Get your podcasts at Spotify, Apple Podcasts, also on YouTube. Just search Inside the Birds. Speaking of the defense, I want to bring back a comment that you and Adam and Andrew talked about. I think it was 2 months ago, about there's a difference between having a lot of corners and having real depth. So for you, Geoff, is there real depth on this team compared to last year, or do we just have a lot of corners on the roster?
Well, to answer that question, we sort of have to make some assumptions, right? We have to make some assumptions that Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean are going to be good players. It's easy to make that assumption, but if you go back through the last 20 years of Eagles drafting cornerbacks, it would be easy to do the opposite and say these guys are going to suck, right? I mean, because literally every corner the Eagles have drafted, whether it's round 2, 3, 4, or whatever, has not worked out for them. But I have a feeling I have a feeling the law of averages is going to catch up here, right? So between Slay, well, assuming Slay is Slay, right? You got DeJean, you got Mitchell. I got to think like one or two of the guys we just talked about, whether it's Rodgers, Job, Ricks, Ringo, one of them is going to be a decent backup. So yeah, I think they're deeper, but it is true that you can't necessarily call it great depth because you just don't know. I don't think James Bradbury is a beyond team. And at some point, guys, the one thing that's the toughest thing to do, in my opinion, from fans and reporter, is we're pretty good at projecting who we think is going to improve from a year-to-year basis. We are terrible because it's an inexact science of predicting who's going to fall flat on their face and not live up to expectations. I don't think anybody would have thought going into last year that James Bradbury, the reigning All-Pro, was going to be benched by the end of the year, right? So I think you have to look at Slay and his age and just wonder, like, when is that point going to come where he has his James Bradbury moment? And he's about to be 30. He's 33, right? If I'm not mistaken, going to be 34. But for now, we're going to say, hey, this is a good starter, quality player, and he's part of what gives them good depth.
Slay is 33, turning 34 on January 1st of next year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to move to another side, the other side of the ball, back to offense and the depth over there at wide receiver. Paris Campbell, John Ross, like these are guys that have come in and now they've signed them. What is the outlook there at wide receiver right now? Because after A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, I mean, there's just so many questions there. Who would be that third guy? I guess Campbell would be at this point, Geoff?
Right. So this is a great example, Nick, of what we talk about where you may have bodies, you may have names, you do not have depth. This is not a deep wide receiver core unless you get some miracles happen. Like John Ross looks like the John Ross of, well, he's never really in the NFL, like the John Ross of Washington, okay, yeah. University of. Or if Paris Campbell looks like the Paris Campbell who stays healthy, first of all, and looks like the Paris Campbell of what I think Ohio State, right, is where he's from. So, I mean, to be honest with you, neither of these guys have performed at that level in the NFL. So it would be a very, very big reach to say that they're going to step up and seize position. They may make the team, but that they're going to be really vital. I'm high on the rookie that they drafted in the 5th round, Anais Smith, Texas A&M, but he's 5'9". I mean, and he's 5th round pick. So yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of names, Joseph Nagata, Johnny Wilson, but literally the Eagles right now are saying, thank God we have Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, but boy, are we in trouble if any of those guys get hurt or if both get hurt at any time.
Could you see Howie Roseman going out and making a move? We've seen him in the past go out and make moves during training camp before. Do you think that could be a position where he goes and says, I need to make a move and add some more depth here?
100%. But, you know, I would say to you, how many guys, like, when are you talking about at the waiver deadline when you see those cuts, or a real trade for
a real trade? I could see a real trade. Could that possibly be a possibility in the realm of possibility going forward?
I suppose it's possible, Nick, but then that one would probably be more around the deadline.
Okay.
You know, then I don't know. They got Ronald Darby in August. It's hard to trade for a number 3 receiver because is that guy, what's his contract look like? Are you going to extend him right then and there? I mean, if he's a number 3 receiver, he's clearly not a number 1 or number 2 for a reason, unless there's a crowded house there. It would have to be the right kind of guy. I don't know if that guy is out there for them.
With that being said, because Geoff, I personally wrote an article on 973 ESPN.com over the weekend, and I was doing a little research.
Ooh,
is it necessary?
Investigative journalist Josh Hennig. I have to check this.
Yeah, live dangerously of what I'm doing over here.
Big J journalism.
You know. Anyway, I'm going to leave that comment from Nick alone. No, but the third receiver point, is it a moot point though? Because you look at Kellen Moore's offenses, his tight ends average almost 8 touchdown catches a year, while the Eagles' tight ends have averaged about 4 touchdown catches a year. In Kellen Moore's offense, the running backs are averaging about 97 targets a year, and the Eagles' running backs were averaging about 75 targets a year. So is the third receiver as important if Kellen Moore is going to get the ball to other guys to maybe fill that void?
Yeah, you know, then we sort of have a discussion about the role of a third receiver. If you're an 11 personnel lot and your interior receiver, can't block, and you need to run out of 11 personnel, well, you're in trouble, right? It doesn't.
Right.
So at that point, it doesn't matter about who you're throwing the ball to. You need somebody who can be that extra blocker, that crackback block. And then, when it's 3rd and 5 and they're doubling AJ Brown and they have a good corner on Devontae Smith, 3rd and 6, like is Saquon Barkley going to run a 7 to 10 yard route, catch that ball? Maybe it's your tight end, as you're mentioning, Dallas Goedert. He's been hurt a little bit. They're not exactly blessed right now with great depth at tight end either. I get your point on more than one way to skin a cat. And when you're talking about 1st, 2nd down, sure. But at the end of the day, this game is won on 3rd down percentage most of the time, right? At least offensively. Defensively, it's usually turnover production. And I think it's important to have a functional 3rd wide receiver. Doesn't have to be a star. I mean, they went to a Super Bowl with Quez, right?
Right.
But you can make an argument they lost the Super Bowl because Quez didn't make the catch that he needed to make. So, I think you need a functional guy there.
At Geoff P. Mosher on the Twitter X platform, Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com. All the latest on the Eagles with them. Adam Kaplan will be back in tomorrow, and then Geoff Mosher returns on Wednesday when Mike Gill is back here on the Sports Bash. Jeff, great stuff today.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Talk to you Wednesday. Have a great one.
Absolutely. Geoff Mosher joining us. Great stuff from him. And I want to take to you, Nick, the question I asked Geoff as well, and the audience out there at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Sports Football 4 being brought to you by Bet365, whatever the sport, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. What is not ordinary, Nick, is the idea that he just said, you might need a 3rd receiver. If you're going to go to the tight end and the running back that much, your 3rd receiver is not going to be John Ross.
Right.
You need the 3rd receiver to be a guy who's going to crack block, who is going to be able to set up the other guys to be open. So if Kellen Moore is going to go to the tight end and the running back more, are you, Nick Earnshaw, okay with the 3rd and 4th receivers not being field stretchers?
I don't know. I don't think you want to be there with a Paris Campbell and a John Ross, right? I think you need more depth. I think you need to go out and get somebody who can fill that void, right? Like someone who can block, someone who could be a little bit of a possession receiver at this point. I don't think they have enough there, and I think you're going to need a guy who, I think you're worse now than you were with Quez, right? Like you don't have really that guy. Like Paris Campbell's okay. John Ross is coming off retirement. So you really don't have a bona fide 3rd receiver right now who can go out there and block. They had Olamide Zaccheaus last year, right? Like he's gone.
Well, let's go back to 2022. Yeah. Zach Pascal.
Yeah,
was on this.
Yeah, exactly.
So is Pascal, if they were to get a guy like Zach Pascal, I'm not literally him, right?
Yeah, but a guy like that.
Are you comfortable with that? Are you the guy's not going to go out there and get you 30, 40, 50 catches, but he's going to be a possession receiver who can block. Is that good enough?
I think it is good enough because they have Saquon Barkley, right? They have Dallas Goedert, and they have a new offensive coordinator with a new vision, right? They're going to get other guys involved. And like we've talked about throughout the show, they'll get, Kellen Moore's offense, they'll get the running back involved in the passing game. They go to the tight ends a little bit more than we've seen the Eagles do in the past couple of years. So yes, I think that type of receiver would be enough. I just don't really see that receiver on this team right now.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Because let's list the guys on the roster right now. Because we know AJ Brown, Devontae Smith. Let's just put that aside, right? So you mentioned Paris Campbell. Not exactly a bona fide 3 receiver, not a blocker, more of like a route running guy, right?
Right.
Britton Covey, more of like a scat, Wes Welker light-esque guy, gets in and out of routes. Again, not a real blocking guy, right? Johnny Wilson, the draft pick. Big guy, 6'6", 228. But is he really a blocking guy?
Yeah.
Like, not really. Aeneas Williams, more of like a yards after the catch. John Ross, a stretch receiver. Is this where Joseph Ngata comes in? Could Joseph Ngata maybe steal a role on this team because he embraces that kind of role here?
Right. And that's like where you would hope Ngata would be that guy, maybe to step up and be a little bit of a surprise, right? Like maybe he's the guy that'll surprise people and show, oh, maybe we do have a 3rd receiver on this roster. It's just you don't see it right now because he's a rookie. You have no idea what you're going to get out of him at this point behind A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. They just don't have a guy who's been there and done that before, right? So that's something maybe they look at. Maybe down the line, Howie Rose was like, yeah, we really need to get somebody right now and go out and find a bona fide third receiver. We didn't really have that with Quez. I mean, Quez struggled mightily and dropped big passes in big games. So, and people weren't happy with him. So maybe they do go out and find another name, or maybe they just live with it and see if they can develop one of these younger guys.
Yeah, I mean, Quez was really trying to stick a square peg in a round hole kind of thing. So to me, I'm happy he's not here. Honestly,
Yeah.
I feel like they tried so hard to make that something that it never worked out,
Right.
So,
and he was a guy who could really only run like a go route, right? Like he didn't run routes well, like over the middle. It just wasn't his type of speed, right? Like that wasn't his game at all. I think he was more of a go route guy. You take the top off, you score a big touchdown, and he would drop passes. And that was another problem he had. And, he wasn't really used, I think, to his best of his ability and what his game is.
609-403-0973 is the text board. Your DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of CLC. Stephen Ventnor says you need to go out and get another premier tight end. He says maybe you should trade for a guy like Cole Kmet. Well, first of all, the Bears aren't trading Cole Kmet.
No.
That's not happening, Stephen Ventnor. But I understand where he's coming from, though. Because, one, you heard Jeff Mosher mention just a few minutes ago that Dallas Goedert has not stayed healthy. So we have to keep that in mind. This guy has been injured almost every year. Maybe not to the level that like Avonte Maddox has been. But it is true. He has missed multiple games due to injury each of the last few seasons. And you look at the rest of the depth chart, right? You signed CJ Uzomah, solid guy, not really a guy who's a high volume guy, right?
Right.
Grant Calcaterra is interesting because he was an elite tight end prospect before the injuries cramped his style. So if he can stay healthy, can he be a bona fide number 2 tight end? I know that everyone's hoping that Albert O becomes somebody, right? But he didn't become somebody last year. So I'm not confident he's going to do it this year. And I will say, it's not like the Cowboys always had elite tight ends.
Right.
When it came to catching the ball. People act like they had prime Jason Witten. Jason Witten was near the end of his career at that point by the time Kellen Moore became the head guy. And they had guys like Blake Jarwin and Dalton Schultz and Jake Ferguson. None of those are exactly barn burners, Nick. So do we need a premier tight end, or do we just need someone who can run the routes that Kellen Moore wants to run?
Well, I think you have one in Dallas Goedert. I think he is a premier tight end, right? Like you're going to be able to use him in big spots. I think he's a weapon that he's going to have to get involved. I think Kellen Moore's going to have to get the tight end involved in Dallas Goedert. I think I don't think they need another tight end. I really don't. I mean, this team has plenty of weapons. They don't need to go out and get another tight end. They have plenty of weapons. They just need a third receiver that could block, that could do all the dirty work to get the other guys open for the most part, right? Like, so I don't think they would need a second tight end. I think Dallas Goedert is enough, but they're going to be able to, if they have so many weapons, they need to get everybody involved. They need the guys that can do the dirty work and maybe be a possession receiver, catch something over the middle on occasion, right? I don't think a second tight end would be necessary, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't need an elite second guy, but I think that if you're not comfortable with the current group, then I'm okay with going to get somebody else. Now,
but what would you rather have, a tight end or a third receiver at this point?
Well, let me throw a wrench into it because Jovan chimed in on the DMs here, and he says Hunter Renfrow maybe. Now, Hunter Renfrow is still a free agent, 28 years old. He's still out there. Would that satisfy the Nick Earnshaw third tight end desires?
Well, third receiver. Yeah. 100%. I think Hunter Renfrow would be a nice receiver to put alongside of AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. He's somebody that you could go out and you can get it, who's on the street right now. Like, he's had some good years with the Raiders in Las Vegas. So he's had a guy before, he's been a guy before that has been a possession receiver, has come up with big catches. You can fill him into the slot. He'll do the dirty work for you as well. I think that could be a guy that should be maybe on people's radar.
Yeah, the only problem I have with Renfrow is, why is he still a free agent? Like, if you have a guy who has been that productive, right? What is keeping him from being picked up? He did play 17 games last year.
Yep.
Now, he was injured 2 years ago. So are we saying that the injuries have diminished him that much? Are we reading too much into a Raiders team that was a dumpster fire last year and maybe couldn't get on the field? Because back in 2021 was his best year, right? But since then, he hasn't been the same guy. By the way, neither is Darren Waller, who retired this weekend. So, there's something to be said with the fact that, is Hunter Renfrow, is he a free agent because he's asking for too much money? Is he a free agent because he's not healthy? Like, what's the reason why?
Right. I mean, and there's other guys out there too. I mean, there's other guys like Michael Thomas is out there still, Corey Davis, McCole Hardman, Julio Jones. Like, there's some names that are still out there.
Are you like buddies with Jovan? Because he literally just DM'd, how about Michael Thomas?
No, I pulled up all the receivers that are remaining. So we got Thomas, McCole Hardman, Corey, Julio Jones, Russell Gage, Randall Cobb's out, Sterling Shepard. So there's some names that are still out there, Josh. But I just think, I don't know. They could go out and sign somebody else. I don't love John Ross at this point, a guy who can do the dirty work coming off of retirement. They have to go out and get somebody else, I think, at this point. Where
I could totally see John Ross making this team for the practice squad.
Yeah.
And being like a guy that, if something happens to AJ Brown or like Devonta Smith for a game or two, that he plays. Here's the problem, Michael Thomas. My issue with Thomas is that he regressed mightily.
Yes.
So, is that a guy who is still like, who is more redeemable? Is it Michael Thomas or Hunter Renfrow?
That's a good one. I thought you were going to say John Ross. I was like, it's easy. It's Michael Thomas. I think Michael Thomas, the injuries have just hurt him badly. And you wouldn't be asking him to be that like number one or number two guy like he was with New Orleans.
But we saw Julio Jones last year, how that was kind of like a meh.
Yeah, it was didn't really work out. I mean, you could go out and you could bring Julio Jones back if you wanted to, right? Like, I mean, you could. He's out there. If you wanted to go and try that again, but he got a couple of touchdowns for the Eagles, but
he did.
I think it would be
almost
better.
By accident.
Would it be better than anything they have now? I would think maybe it's a little bit of an upgrade, right? With where they're at right now. Maybe you do bring a guy like a Thomas, like a Julio Jones back into the fold just to play that slot and do the dirty work, pick up blocks, etc., to help out the other guys on offense, the other weapons you do have.
He's Nick Earnshaw. I'm Josh Hennig, filling for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle. Still to come. Yes, we do still have some nugs lined up for you. Nick's Nuggets. He's got some topics on tap, and we'll get some of your texts as well at 609-403-0973. Your DMs into the 97.3 ESPN mobile app, powered by First Bank of Seattle City. And don't forget, Bob Wankel from Crossing Broad and RedOctoberPhilly.com will join us in about 33 minutes from now here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
And I am the voice of the voiceless.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
With GMF financing, qualified buyers excludes Corvette, excludes prior sales.
Don't buy a car anywhere until you hear this. Bennett Chevy must sell 200 vehicles immediately. So right now, brand new Chevys are on sale at the GM supplier employee price. That's right, you pay what we pay. Plus, you keep all the rebates, saving you as much as 10% off MSRP. You heard right, you get both GM supplier employee prices, plus you get all the rebates up to 10% off MSRP. And because Bennett must move 200 new and used vehicles, we'll give you a minimum $10,000 for any rotted out old clunker, even if it was on fire. Yes, a minimum $10,000 for any clunker towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. Imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. These are real deals you won't get anywhere else but Bennett Chevy. So you must hurry for best selection. With deals like this, nobody beats a Bennett deal, and I mean mean nobody. Together, let's drive at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
This Father's Day, help Dad be all he can be with a Father's Day gift from the Home Depot. Because he's not just Dad, he's the handyman of the house, the plumber in a pinch, and the emergency mechanic. For Father's Day, upgrade his gear with the Husky 270-piece mechanics tool set from the Home Depot. Just $99. Perfect in the hands of a pro or a dad. For every kind of dad, find the perfect gift this Father's Day at the Home Depot. How doers get more done.
7 drive modes and available intelligent 4-wheel drive. Plus, up to 6,000 pounds of towing capacity equals a fun way of getting to some of the most exciting adventures life has to offer. That's what the 2024 Nissan Pathfinder gives you. Make your journey to some of the world's most epic destinations fun and exciting. The 2024 Nissan Pathfinder. Chase adventures and enjoy the ride along the way. Intelligent 4-wheel drive cannot prevent collisions or provide enhanced traction in all conditions. Always monitor traffic and weather conditions. Towing capacity varies by configuration. See Nissan Towing Guide and Owner's Manual for additional information. Always secure cargo.
Do you love a good cigar almost as much as your family? Well, maybe that's an exaggeration, but you can find that perfect cigar at Smokers Haven. With 5 New Jersey locations, Smokers Haven has the finest selection of cigars in the area, like Ashton, My Father's, Romeo and Julieta, Monte Cristo, and more. All from the finest tobacco leaves and hand-rolled by the world's finest cigar makers. All locations are fully open. Stop in and let them help you find the perfect cigar to pair with your life. See all they have and their locations at smokershavennj.com.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Paid for by Wesley Financial Group. Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-761-0000. 800-761-0000.
Powered by NJM. No jingles or mascots, just great insurance. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Which way should the Phillies lean at the deadline? I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN question of the day. With the Philadelphia Phillies falling in Game 2 in the London series against the New York Mets and the bullpen struggling, it got us wondering, should the Phillies really prioritize an outfield right-handed bat over a bullpen arm? Let us know by texting 609-403-0973 or use the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. For me, I think you got to go bullpen arm over right-handed bat. Give Rob Thompson another option out of the bullpen. Once again, text in at 609-403-0973. Your forecast is next.
New Jersey's got a lot of summer wow. We got your under the sun wows. Your this is too much fun wows. Your that wine was sublime wows. And your one more time wows. So come see what your wow's gonna be. New Jersey, it's one summer wow after another after another. Find your wow at visitnj.org. New Jersey, little state, lot of wow.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Pretty good week for outdoor activities. I have to mention a few raindrops late tonight into tomorrow, but our next chance of widespread rain doesn't arrive until Friday afternoon. Partly cloudy tonight, low is 60. Tomorrow, chance of a stray shower, just a little pop-up at some point. Partly sunny, high 75. More of the same on Wednesday, partly sunny and 79. Becoming more summer-like with highs in the 80s on Thursday. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Go for the endless ocean views. Go for the nonstop entertainment. Go for the lucky whirls and the late night twirls. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800.
We have the perfect solution for sitting in traffic.
You come with me.
The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
4 o'clock hour, the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill alongside Nick Earnshaw. And Nick's Nuggets are brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I have a feeling that you don't have 3, 6, or 5 Nuggets today.
I have a 3-pack for you.
Wow, you
Josh.
have 3. Okay.
I got a 3-pack for you today.
So a 3-pack for Bet365.
Of course. Yeah, I had to come ready today. I was ready to go. I mean, we got an extended version of the Nuggets for 4 hours today. Actually, 5. So I'll be on game night tonight.
Yes, Nick Earnshaw will be filling in on game night tonight on 97.3 ESPN, allowing me to get some extra work done behind the scenes. So I'm very appreciative of Nick helping out today. He's been, for as much as I bust your chops today on a couple of things, I do appreciate all the help you've been giving me.
I should do a bonus nugget just on movies and see if you've watched a couple of movies I've watched lately or like over the past couple
I
of
have
months.
seen Saving Private Ryan. I can confirm that.
You've seen Moneyball and you've seen Air. So you're
I've
3 for
seen
3.
Moneyball. I've seen Air. I would probably rate Air over the other. Over Moneyball? Wow, really? Because I think the book.
Okay, that's fair. Because the book a lot of times is better than
Like,
the
for
movie.
example, to me, the worst example of a movie not following a book is Wolf of Wall Street. Because that movie actually would have been better if they followed the book. Because the book gets into a lot of the
Right.
why behind the debauchery.
Right.
Like, when you understand the why behind some of the bleep that happens in that movie, it actually makes you more invested in
Right.
the character.
Right.
So to me, I look at that movie at Wolf of Wall Street, looking at like some of those scenes, like when he's like falling out of the car and he's like so drunk and high that he gets to drag himself in and out of the car, right? Like that, if you understood how he got to that point, it makes it better.
Yeah,
you know what
it
I mean?
just adds to it, right?
Like, to me, I'm a big believer, like, I don't just want the moments. I want the why behind the moments.
How, who, what, when, where, and why.
You know, it's like
all of it.
Like if you watch the movie Scarface, like, the reason why the great scene where he says you never see a bad guy like this again, the reason why that scene is so significant is because everything that happens up to that moment, you realize he really is that guy. You understand it more.
Right. You need a little bit more context. You wanted a little bit more context in Wolf of Wall Street.
Right.
essentially is what
Because
you're
I knew the context going into the movie.
saying. Okay.
You know what I mean?
Because you
So-
already read the book.
Right. And I thought the book was one of those things where, like, I never thought that was a book I would read. You know what I mean? And it literally, I read it in like 2 weeks.
You were done. You were going in. You were
I was
reading a chapter,
blazing
more than a
through it.
chapter a day.
Like, that was like, go to the beach, lay on the beach, don't talk to me. I'm reading this book. This book is insane.
I'm getting my glow. I'm getting a tan, and I'm reading The Wolf of Wall Street. I'm gonna blow by this book every day I go to the beach.
Exactly. And that's literally what it was. And when I watched the movie, I was a little disappointed.
All right, that's fair. I listen. The book a lot of times is better than the movie.
That's why I said the same thing with Moneyball. The
Yeah.
Moneyball book was really
It was good.
detailed and informative.
Yep.
And I thought the movie, they didn't take liberties, but you kind of felt like they cut some corners.
That's fine. I think it was still a great movie. I think it was fantastic. I put that as like one of my favorite movies of all time. No doubt about it.
But what's your nugget?
All right.
I interrupted your segment. enough.
No, it's okay. We're talking about Moneyball, great movies all the time. It's fantastic stuff. And we're talking about your glow when you go to the beach and read. So that's fantastic. All right, we'll move to nugget number 1. And I got to talk about Bryce Harper. So we have a little bit of sound from this as well. And Bryce, over the weekend before the London series, was talking about the 2028 Olympics and how much he wanted to play going up in a couple of years.
Obviously, we have the WBC, but it's not the same. It's not. I mean, people can say as much as they want. It's just not. The Olympics is so worldwide. I mean, WBC is great. It's really cool. Brings a lot of people together, and that's what it's all about. But the Olympics is something that you dream about playing in. And so if I have a chance to put my nation's colors on and represent, that on my chest again, like I did when I was 18 and 16, I would absolutely love it.
So Harper made a lot of headlines over the weekend for the most part, talking about the London series, etc. But I thought this one was fascinating, saying that he would want to play the 2028 Olympics and kind of pause the MLB season for major league players to play in the Olympics. They have the World Baseball Classic, like he mentioned in that clip. But Josh, what do you make of Harper kind of bringing the Olympic conversation to the forefront? Because the Olympics is now going to have baseball back again. And they never really had I don't know if they've ever had major league players. I'm not mistaken. I don't think they have. Pausing the season, that's a lot to do. We saw the NHL has done that in the past, but we never saw Major League Baseball do that before.
So I'm all for this, but I couldn't see it happening.
No.
I don't see baseball pausing their season for the Olympics like the NHL does. Obviously the NBA is at the off season, so it's completely unrelated. Doesn't interfere. I mean, if I was baseball, because to me, the Olympics are another stage of promoting your sport.
Right.
And like Harper said, it's different. It's bigger. It's worldwide. Like the world will literally watch sports in the Olympics that you don't give a darn about the rest of the year. Like did anybody care about swimming except for when Michael Phelps was swimming a decade ago, right? Like nobody cares about women's gymnastics until those young ladies are on the Olympic stage. Like I always tell people, one of the Olympics is not the best gymnastics in the world. Women's college gymnastics, when they get to the NCAA tournament version of that is the highest level of gymnastics I've ever watched. Like watching schools like Florida and Oklahoma and Minnesota and Michigan compete, UCLA at that level, these women are getting 10s. Like you get a 10 and you get a 10. They're all getting perfect scores. They don't do that in the Olympics. But like the Olympics, because it's a pedigree, because it's viewed a certain way, we don't watch women's gymnastics the rest of the year. We watch it there. Same thing with figure skating. Same thing with track and field. Nobody cares about Usain Bolt except in the Olympics. So Harper's 100% right. Being in the Olympics is different. And if baseball is smart, they would stop in the middle of the season, but they probably won't.
No, they probably won't. And it would be weird because the timing would be so off. Like you would go into November, like the playoffs would be in November. So it would take a lot to do that. They do have the World Baseball Classic, which I like the World Baseball Classic. I think it's awesome because they don't have the Olympics. You have that. I could never see them doing it, but it would be pretty cool to see all the best major league players on Team USA, etc. I mean, we saw how great that USA Japan game was when it was Ohtani versus Trout.
Now, let me ask you a
that
question.
Would be awesome.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
What if baseball says we're not stopping, but the teams allow the players anyway to go to the Olympics?
I don't think that would happen. I don't think that could happen. You know what I mean? Like taking the players off the team. I don't know if I'm for that. I think you'd have to stop the season because a lot of the top players would be going.
Right.
Like what you wouldn't be watching the MLB product, right? Like that would take away from Major League Baseball.
So let me ask you this. What if baseball only for Olympic years
shorten the season?
Well, that'd be even better, but that won't happen.
They could shorten the season.
Here's my idea. You time out the break for the Olympics with the All-Star game.
Like instead of doing the All-Star game,
right?
You do the Olympics.
So, like for example, the players who don't go to the Olympics, they can still be in the All-Star game. The guys who are going to the Olympics, maybe you just give them like a hat tip for the All-Star team,
right?
And baseball still has some
right. Maybe
baseball season stuff going on.
Maybe you extend the season, start it a little earlier in March.
Maybe
you could do that and maybe go a little bit deeper.
The only problem is that it's like March it's cold, man.
It's cold. It's cold in November too. So you have to start it somewhere, right? Like because you're going all these months. Regular season goes in October.
You can't eliminate games because of the TV contract.
Right, exactly.
So, how would baseball pause? All right, here's the theory. You know how the Dodgers and the Padres went to Korea?
Right.
Like, could baseball maybe be like, we're going to do like a world tour at the beginning of the year? Like, we'll go to London. We'll go to Mexico. We'll go to Puerto Rico. We'll go to Japan. We'll go to all these places with domes, right? In these other countries and do a world tour to start the year for the Olympic year. And that would be a way to get away from the cold cities.
Possibly. That could work. That could work.
I'm trying to come up with ideas.
Yeah, we're trying to help Major League Baseball out because we know the problem they have with scheduling. I don't know if I trust Major League Baseball with scheduling.
I trust you better than I would them.
Especially after this weekend. I mean, you put the London series with the Yankees and Dodgers. That's a whole nother topic of conversation. But I think it would be interesting to have some of those stars during the Olympics and have major league players play because we saw how great the World Baseball Classic is. It'd be essentially the same thing with the Olympics if you had and to have Bryce Harper come out and say that, I think that's a pretty big deal. I don't know if we'll ever get it, unfortunately.
Probably not.
Yeah.
All right, let's hit the break real quick. And we'll continue with the nugs from Nick Earnshaw here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill, 973 ESPN FM, the 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. And an anonymous texter has taken extreme exception with my Olympic gymnastics comment. We'll tell you all about it next on 973 ESPN.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Keeping the fans entertained and happy.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
For the ones who know safety isn't a catchphrase, it's a culture. And the ones who help make sure everyone makes it home safe. For the safety-minded who watch everyone's backs, Grainger offers supplies and solutions for every industry, as well as safety assessments and training to keep your facilities safe and your people safer. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Paid for by Wesley Financial Group. Are you a victim of the timeshare trap and think there's no way out? I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group, the original timeshare cancellation expert. And I'm here to tell you that there is a way out. All you need to do is give my office a call. I will send you a timeshare exit information kit absolutely free, explaining how the timeshare industry works and your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your free info kit. 800-761-0000. 800-761-0000.
It's the Nissan Thrill of Summer sales event going on now at Matt Blatt Nissan. You'll be thrilled in a new Nissan Sentra S, just $159 per month lease, or Kicks S, just $199 per month lease, and zero security deposit.
Oh, yeah, it's on at Matt Blatt Nissan.
You heard right. New Matt Blatt Nissan Kicks S, just $199 per month, or Sentras, only $159 per month lease, both with zero security deposit, $29.99 due, and you'll be cruising up to 39 miles per gallon. Stuck in a loan or lease? AJ the Trade Man can get you released, so don't repair it, don't fix the broken windshield, don't even wash it. Bring it to Matt Blatt Nissan.com. On approved Tier 1 credit for NEMAC. Negative equity will be refinanced into new vehicle plus tax tag and $589 doc fee. Offers can't be combined. Call 877-289-6670 or go to mattblattnissan.com for complete details. VIN RY 324390 and RI 498444. Central lease selling price $21,570. Kicks lease selling price $22,840. Offer ends 7/6/2024. It's on at Matt Blatt Nissan on the Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township.
Why do so many dogs suffer from weight issues, skin problems, messy poops, and low energy? It could be the popular dog food you put in their bowl each day.
Cody was sleeping a lot, wasn't playing.
She was very lethargic and not moving around. Dry kibble just wasn't cutting it.
That's why, after more than 45 years of experience of helping dogs make complete health turnarounds, veterinarian Dr. Marty created Nature's Blend. It's a freeze-dried raw dog food made with wholesome ingredients like premium meats, seeds, vegetables, and fruit. And once dog parents switch their pups to Nature's Blend, the results can be astounding.
She's got her energy back. She's running around like she did like 5 years ago.
Miraculously, she's just feeling all around better. She's like a new dog. Thank you, Dr. Marty.
Get your dog started today and save up to 54% off Nature's Blend. Plus, receive a free pack of our best-selling beef liver dog treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
Flounder season is gearing up, and the one stop for everything you need is the Bait and Tackle Shop at Utch's Marina in historic Cape May. Come to Utch's for a huge selection of flounder spinning and conventional rods and combos for the boat or the surf, with top name brands available like Penn, Tsunami, Ocean Max, Shimano, and more. Only at Utch's Marina, your home away from home at the foot of the bridge in Cape May. Check out the half-off sale going on right now. Live bait, frozen bait, rods and reels, lures too. Visit Utch's today. Bait and Tackle Shop, open daily.
Say hello to Lumi, the whole body deodorant developed with your whole body in mind. Pits, privates, and beyond. It's outrageously effective and clinically proven to block odor all day, anywhere you have body odor and wish you didn't, and keeps controlling odor up to 72 hours. Lumi is different. Developed by an OBGYN, Lumi goes beyond masking odor to control body odor in a way certain other deodorants and soap don't. Start controlling body odor everywhere, not just armpits. Experience whole body freshness from Lumi Whole Body Deodorant today. Go to LumiDeodorant.com to be the best smelling you of all time. There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 203 and get 15% off your first purchase with code 203. Like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LumeDeodorant.com, code 203 for 15%. to save 15 medeodorant.com.
Discover the open road with Hitch RV, your family-owned destination for hassle-free RV shopping. We're here to stay and even better than before, promising a no-pressure experience and unbeatable deals. Our dedicated team guides you to the perfect RV, ensuring your adventure starts on the right note. Forget the stress. Join our family and let's make memories together. Hitch RV, where your journey begins without the hassle. Browse our massive selection today at hitchrv.com.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
See with Nick's Nuggets here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh filling for Mike Gill along with Nick Earnshaw here in the studio. Of course, Nick Nuggets being brought to you by Bet365. Whatever the sport, whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Nick Earnshaw, take it away.
All right, nugget number 2, going to go back to the Birds a little bit here. Now, we've seen some of these players go on podcasts before, and we just saw last week with Josh Jacobs, right? Yep. Saying something that really wasn't that true.
Sure.
Darius Slay kind of had his little moment today. He was on the Pulp Fiction podcast.
What?
Yes, that was the podcast he was on.
All right.
And he was talking about the Eagles' Kelly Green jerseys, and he was asked if they were going to wear them, and he said, "Hell no, they ain't." That was a quote from Darius Slay. That's what he said, that they were not going to be wearing the Kelly Green jerseys heading in next year. However, the Philadelphia Inquirer asked the Eagles to confirm this. They said the Eagles will be wearing the Kelly Greens again in 2024. Despite what Darius Slay said on the contrary, the Eagles confirmed to the Inquirer that the Kelly Greens will be brought back. We just don't know the days or the games yet. But these podcasts are getting out of hand with the players, Josh. They're saying things that aren't true, and they're becoming big news and big stories, and it's getting everyone up in a tizzy.
Yeah, look, this is a problem. I will admit that. Look, the players, they just got to stop, man. They got to stop just talking for the sake of talking. I understand everyone wants their voice to be heard. Everybody wants to have their platform to speak their mind, and I'm all for that. Yes. Okay, but at some point, guys like Josh Jacobs, Darius Slay, and everybody else, they got to stop trying to speak knowledgeably about things that they don't know about. I'm a big believer, Nick, in if you don't know something, don't act like you know.
Yes.
You know,
like don't double down on it.
Right. Like, you know, listen, if I don't know something, I look it up. I research it. I ask somebody. If I don't know something, I'm not going to talk about it. You know, it's just, it's
or I'll say I don't know it. I don't
know. Right.
I don't know.
Like if there's a movie I haven't seen, I don't know. I can't comment on it. You know what I mean? If it was a TV show, you know, like for example, you have seen every Seinfeld episode that's ever been made.
Yeah, probably 10 times over.
I have not. I've seen a third of the Seinfeld episodes. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, but it's not. So I can't sit here and be like, I'm a Seinfeld expert. I would never do that. So right. I don't understand why these guys like Jacobs and Slay are trying to speak like they're experts on something. And they're obviously not.
They're just talking out of their you-know-whats. Like, how does Darius Slay know if they're going to wear the Kelly Greens? And by the way, they fought for years to get these Kelly Greens back. They made a ton of money off of them last year. Why would they not bring them back? The rule has now allowed them to wear these Kelly Green jerseys. And for him to say that's kind of crazy as well. Like, oh, yeah, they're not going to wear them this year. That's just crazy. The fact they finally got them back and then they're gone the next year. Yeah, highly doubt that would happen, especially with all the money they made last year off the jerseys. And then, Josh Jacobs last week with the whole thing, you can't wear green to the Brazil game. Like, it's just, they got to stop. If you don't know, just don't say it, because now you're going to create a whole nugget for me to talk about on the Sports Bash.
All right, what's your final nugget?
All right, third and final nugget. Interesting comments from Nick Nurse. Okay, so he was on a national radio show earlier today, and he discussed kind of building around Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. Okay, so that's what I've been kind of going at, right? I want the Sixers to build around Maxey and Embiid, not go get a third star. The quote was, finding the right pieces that are going to be able to space and shoot, defend and rebound, have some IQ, have some late game moxie and guts. That's per our Austin Krell, who put out that quote on Twitter for everybody. If you want to check it out, 97.3 ESPN's Austin Krell. So thanks for that, Austin. You helped me out with my third nugget. What do you make, Josh, of Nurse kind of saying that they need a guy with moxie and guts at the end of the game? It's kind of what they need and what they've been looking for years at this point.
Well, it's on point. It's exactly what Daryl Morey said. It's what he said at his season-ending press conference about what they need.
The biggest need is, not at their position, someone at the wing who can play and deliver at a high level in the playoffs. That's the biggest need. Yeah,
it's on message.
Yeah,
Nurse and Morey are on the same page.
Yes,
that's
which is
what
a good thing. Which is a good thing. I just don't want to add a third superstar, a max contract. Utilize your resources with a bunch of guys and fill out the roster. So you have guys like Kelly Oubre not being your third best option, right? Like, go get a third guy that can be bona fide, like a Bridges, like a Lauri Markkanen, I've been screaming about for so long. And maybe, Josh, there's a guy out there that we haven't even heard yet, even though every name's been linked to the Sixers. Maybe there's something brewing that we don't even know about yet. You know what I mean? That could happen too.
Yeah, and I think that part of the problem is that a lot of fans, they want to see a big name.
Yep.
But, like,
I don't.
It might not be a superstar that makes the difference for this team. Look at the Celtics the last two games. You know why the Celtics are up 2-0? Because of Drew Holiday.
Right.
It's not because of Tatum and Brown, because Tatum and Brown have been to the NBA Finals. Drew Holiday has made a massive difference in this series. So, like you said, a Lauri Markkanen, maybe that's someone who is a superstar, but is someone who brings something to the table that you don't already have.
Like an all-star, just an all-star. I don't need a superstar. I need an all-star. And Podcast P, we're talking about player podcast. This podcast is all right, but he doesn't need to come here. We don't need another player with a podcast either.
He's Nick Earnshaw. I'm Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. Coming up next, we'll recap the Phillies weekend with Bob Wankel from Crossing Broad and RedOctoberPhilly.com here on 97.3 ESPN.
Hey, Jen, I just stopped in to say hello, and oh my goodness, look how busy it is in here. How do you get all these customers?
Yeah, this month has been a record breaker for us. For a long time, we had decent business coming in from word of mouth, but we weren't growing. Lately, though, a lot of new folks have been finding us online, and that's made all the difference.
That's terrific, man. I wish I could figure out how to do that for my shop, but I have no idea where to start.
Just do what I did. It's not as hard as you think. Go to mylocalcustomers.com to see exactly how many searches there are for businesses like yours. If you see that there are a good number of clients searching in our area, you'll also get some suggestions for the best way to get their attention.
Do you think there are a lot of people searching for my business?
There's only one way to find out. Go to mylocalcustomers.com. It's quick, easy, and free.
Go to mylocalcustomers.com for a free local customer analysis that will show you how many customers are searching online for your type of business. It's quick, easy, and free. Visit mylocalcustomers.com. That's mylocalcustomers.com. If you need bold banners to boost your business, but you're on a budget, think Staples. Because now at Staples, you can save up to $50 on your print purchase. From posters and flyers to signs and menus, Staples can print anything you need to move your business forward. And with Staples Print Perfect Guarantee, it's done right or it's printed again free. Plus, same-day service is available on hundreds of items if you order by noon. Get it printed right at Staples. And now get up to $50 off your print purchase. And 76, visit staples.com/print for details.
A slow network is no network for business. That's why more choose Comcast Business. And now we're introducing Ultimate Speed for Business, our fastest plans yet. We're up to 12 times faster than Verizon, AT&T, and T-Mobile. And existing customers could even get up to triple the speeds at no additional cost. All from the company with 99.9% network reliability and advanced cybersecurity. It's Ultimate Speed from Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Don't miss out on our fastest speed plans yet. Get started with internet for $59.99 a month for 12 months with a 2-year contract. Plus, ask how to get up to an $800 prepaid card with a qualifying gig bundle. Don't wait. Call 1-800-501-6000 or go online to switch today. And 62324 restrictions apply. New customers only with 150 megabits per second internet. Equal bill and auto pay required. Equipment, taxes, and fees extra. Compares Comcast Business 1.25 gig to 100 megabits per second of Verizon 5G Business. 18 Downloads for current essential and standard customers.
Are you ready to smell better naked? I'm Dr. Shannon Klingman, the OBGYN creator of Lumi, the whole body deodorant that's clinically proven to control odor for 72 hours on pits, feet, privates, and beyond. It's pH optimized to safely and effectively control odor anywhere you have it, but wish you didn't. Plus, it's proven to work better than a shower with soap alone. Whether you shower twice a day or 3 times a week, Lumi works better. And who doesn't want zero body odor? With over 200,000 5-star reviews, I'm so sure you're going to love it, or you can return it for free.
There's a special offer for listeners. Use code 500 and get 15% off your first purchase with code 500, like the Lumi Starter Pack, Acidified Body Wash, or new Lumi Plus Sweat Control. That's LUMEdeodorant.com, code 500 for 15% off your first purchase. Love it or return it for free. That's LUMEdeodorant.com, code 500 to save 15% today.
Hey, it's Mike Gill, and do I have a deal for you? Bring any written estimate for a new 2024 Acura from another Acura dealer over to my friend Rocco at Key Acura of Atlantic City, and he will beat that price by $500 and give you an additional $500 on your trade. And now through June 30th, get a 36-month lease on a 2024 Integra for just $299 a month with $49.95 down. Key Acura, Chilton Road, EAT. Your small but friendly dealer. See dealer for details.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles,
They got him. It's a sack.
Sixers,
Oh, baby.
and Flyers.
He scored.
97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City, a Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey. This is the Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. Now live from inside the Ocean Casino Resort Studio, here's Mike Gill.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill alongside Nick Earnshaw here in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Phillies in London over the weekend, the high of Saturday, the low of Sunday. We talked about it earlier in the show. And joining us right now, more into it, Bob Wankel from Boston Blog, RedOctoberPhilly.com, joins us right now here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Bob, welcome back. How you doing today?
What's up, man? Good to talk to you.
Appreciate you jumping on. So I want to ask you about, first of all, you're just big picture takeaways from the weekend because, for a lot of Philly fans, it was the high of Saturday, the low of Sunday emotionally. And I kind of take from it, Bob, it's 162 games. Games like Sunday happen.
Yeah, look, they can never just seem to lose in normal fashion. Like, when was the last time the Phillies went out and lost a game 8-2 and you said, well, that's baseball. You're not going to have it every night. Like, the pitching has been so good, and they've been so good situationally that they are always in a game. And you're not going to win all of them. And it feels like when they lose games lately, it's in this like rip your hair out fashion. And that's certainly what yesterday was. I think it's hard to have big picture takeaways from one loss. When you look up, you see that they lead the National League in runs per game. They're second in baseball. They've allowed the fewest runs per game in the National League, second in baseball. They have the second best run differential. The bullpen has been the best in baseball since May 1st. The starting pitching's awesome. But yesterday was a dismal loss. That was a terrible loss. And if you consumed that game for 3 hours yesterday and invested yourself in it, you definitely walked away from it going, well, what the hell was that? And I mean, it's just like that is going to happen sometimes.
I said, Bob, coming into the weekend that I felt the Phillies have to go out and add a bullpen pitcher and a right-handed bat before the deadline. I think this weekend amplified that, Bob, because at some point, you can't ask Alvarado and Soto and Strom to pitch every single game.
Yeah, I would agree that they probably are in a position where they could stand to add another bullpen arm. As good as the bullpen has been, I do think that there's a couple potential red flags here. And the one that I would certainly circle is Gregory Soto. I think if you look at him last season, his ERA wasn't particularly good, but when you looked at some of the advanced metrics, he actually pitched better than some of the traditional stats would indicate. And he was sort of victimized by a couple blow-up appearances. This season has been the total opposite. He's been worse, and he's been far worse. He's really struggled to get guys out. Opponents are hitting 324 against him. His whip is over 2 right now. For a guy that throws 97 to 99 miles per hour from the left side, like, you would expect better results, and he just really can't get anybody out right now. And it's interesting, like, if you were managing yesterday's game like it was all in, win or go home, I don't know that you would have gone to Gregory Soto in the 6th inning to record that final out with the heart of the Mets order up. But I will say this, like, Gregory Soto is a guy that should be able to get out of that spot. And while I think that Matt Strahm might have been the right choice in the moment, you have to see if Gregory Soto is capable of getting that out. And right now, he just absolutely is not.
To what you're saying, Bob, and not to put words in your mouth, Bob Wankel from Crossing Broad, RedOctoberPhilly.com is the newsletter, joining us here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Are you suggesting we need less of Soto and more of somebody else then moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, I think that you're in a spot where Gregory Soto is probably your 5th or 6th option out of the bullpen as is. But I do think that you're sort of in this evaluation mode where you're 25 games over 500. You have a 9-game lead in the division. And there's this sense of, okay, what do we have here? Let's put these guys into spots and see what they can handle and what they can't. And so while you're trying to win baseball games, and certainly that's always the focus, there is a little bit of a learning process here about, like, what does this team really look like when we're all in down the stretch, when we get to October. So I think at best right now, Gregory Soto kind of needs one of those Sir Anthony Dominguez resets where you say, okay, like, he's got a good arm. We know that he's performed in the past. Right now it's not working out. Like, I don't think that Gregory Soto should be taking down key outs in games if you have things lined up where Matt Strahm, he should be fresh. He through Tuesday. You see him over the weekend. Like, it shouldn't. Guys should have been available yesterday. So sometimes you're going to have to go to him in important situations, but I don't think he's a guy when you have all your options in front of you that you want to go to in a key spot right now.
So with that being said, why do you think they went to Soto there? Is that just the Phillies' brain trust in the dugout overthinking the situation? Is it just making a bad decision? Like, what leads in your mind a situation like that? Because I feel like the fans out there, Bob, they're saying this is what's wrong with Rob Thompson. Like, that's kind of like the reaction to some of this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it was sort of a conservative move, I guess you could say that, by going to him. I really do just think it's like, first of all, I heard some people criticizing Rob Thompson for taking out Taijuan Walker. I mean, look, Taijuan Walker was really good yesterday, and it was a good step forward for him, and credit to Taijuan for battling and coming out and giving his team a chance to win. But, I mean, nothing that Taijuan Walker has done this season really says, yeah, let's go through the heart of the Mets order a third time or go after Nimmo a third time, even if you had success with him earlier in the game. I think what you're thinking to yourself here is, all right, Gregory Soto's a veteran reliever, and he should be able to get out Brandon Nimmo, and he just didn't. And you want to save Strahm for later in the game. That's fine. You want him to take down the 8th or possibly even the 9th, and you let him do that. So, I mean, again, like, if you look at yesterday's game, like, it was all in. It was pretty frustrating to watch because I in the moment said, why isn't this Strahm? But when you step back, you think about it, you're like, you got to trust your players. You want to see what guys have. And it was a big spot for him. He just didn't get it done.
This team now leaving London, Bob, they got to go to Boston, to Baltimore, a long, many days away from home. Is there any thought or concern that things are going to maybe not be very even with the rest of this road trip, considering how long of a trip they're taking?
Yeah, the mileage is certainly added up. I mean, you start in Philly, and then you go out Memorial Day weekend out to Colorado, to San Francisco, back to the East Coast, across the pond. Now you're back in Baltimore. That's a lot of travel for a baseball team, and it does take a little bit of a toll on guys from a physical standpoint. Now they have the benefit of the 2 days of rest going into the Mets series, and then obviously today was a down day as well. But it can be a little bit difficult to be acclimated. Now, that being said, Boston has been pretty mediocre. They are league average in pretty much every capacity in terms of their offense. They've gotten good pitching this year, but it goes to show you, like, we talk about how good the Phillies pitching has been, and they're 25 games over 500. The Red Sox have been fantastic from a pitching perspective, and they're 500. So that kind of lets you know where they're at from an offensive standpoint. They do benefit. The Phillies have 6 games here on this trip. They'll see Zach Wheeler twice. You'll get Nola, Sanchez, and Walker once as well, and then obviously Ranger. You get good pitching. You're going to have 5 starts where you feel like, hey, the guy that's taking the ball in this matchup is going to give us a chance to win. We've got the better guy. But look, Baltimore's really good. I wouldn't be surprised if the Phillies are looking at like a 3-3 week here. But here you go. I come on here twice a week, and I very rarely give hot takes. I have one for you. The Phillies aren't competing against the Braves at this point. The Phillies are competing against the Phillies. The Braves are cooked. The Phillies are going to win this division, and I think that they're going to win it going away. So a 3-3 week, I don't think would be a reason to slam the panic button. But I think what the Phillies have to do is protect against that 1-5 week, and the 2-7 run. Like that's what they're going to have to do, because they're not going to stay this hot. They're not going to win 109 games. I don't believe that they will do that. They just got to protect against those prolonged stretches where they can't get things going. And so far, they've been great at that.
Bob Wankel from Crossing Broad joining us here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. Bob, a couple more before I let you go. We had a person text in earlier today ask about Kyle Schwarber, if we should be concerned that Schwarber has not hit any home runs yet this month. Are you concerned?
A little bit. It's weird. He's been okay. Like, he's still drawing a ton of walks. He's still getting on base. But he had 48 singles last season. He's got 42 singles right now. It's just like, and we're not even halfway through the season yet. It's just that he's been such a different player this year. And I wouldn't say that there's a reason to be concerned about him overall. Like, he's still a productive player. But, you sort of expect Kyle Schwarber to run into 35, 40 home runs minimum, and he just isn't that guy right now. And I know everyone, when the calendar turned to June, was like, all right, here we go, like, lock in. And that hasn't really happened, at least from a power perspective. So I'm not like overall concerned about him, but like, he has not been the extra base hit guy, the power guy that you expect him to be. I mean, his slugging percentage is way down this season, but he has picked it up in other areas to sort of offset that a little bit. It's worth keeping an eye on, but like, am I overall truly concerned about Kyle Schwarber? No, I guess I still expect him to go on a run, but does he finish with 40 plus home runs? No, probably not at this point.
Bob, before I let you go, I also want to touch base with you because on Friday, the Phillies made a very curious trade, we'll call it. I know for people in South Jersey, love the idea of acquiring Buddy Kennedy because he is from Millville High School. But, what exactly are the Phillies' plans moving forward? Because it feels like they're kind of like doing patchwork until Marsh and Turner come back, with the guys like Weston Wilson and David Dahl up here. So what do you think the Phillies are trying to do the rest of this month? Because my working assumption is Turner won't be back for at least a couple more weeks. And Marsh, as you have mentioned before, Bob, he probably won't be back till the All-Star break.
Yeah, it sounds like Brandon Marsh is doing pretty well. And it's like, I think the question with both Marsh and Turner is this. It's like, all right, could these guys play in a game 7 days from now? And the answer might be yes. But it's just, I think it's about the greater context of, all right, we have championship aspirations. We're trying to be healthy. We're trying to be ready to go down the stretch. We want to peak, and it's going to be hard for them to peak as well as they played. So I don't know if peak's the right word, but we want to make sure that we're firing on all cylinders as we get into September and into October. So we want to be really cautious from a health standpoint with these guys. And so that's where I don't know on the timeline. Like, could Trey Turner play in a baseball game this weekend? I think so. Is he going to be back in the next 10 days? Like, I think that remains to be seen. I think there's a couple more hurdles for him to clear. And I think that they want to be conservative with Marsh. He might beat the All-Star break timeline that I initially gave, but I just sort of expect them to say, all right, he's doing really well. He's in a good spot, but like, let's be careful here. So I think with like Buddy Kennedy, I think the idea is basically just build some more depth. You need these guys. I mean, look what David Dahl's done for this team, right? Like, these moves sometimes pay off. Sometimes they don't materialize to anything. Guy may never take a bat here. But I think the idea is, look, you got a solid player that's good from an organizational depth standpoint. If things happen, one or two more things happen, a couple dominoes fall a certain way, maybe he gets a look. But I think overall that specific move is just about building the organizational depth. I guess I'd be surprised if that moved the needle for the Phillies this season.
He's Bob Wankel at Bob_Wankel on the Twitter X platform. RedOctoberPhilly.com. Get the newsletter so you get all the Phillies insights you need each week. And he joined us here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Bob, appreciate you squeezing in some time for us today.
I appreciate you having me. Thanks for working with me there, Josh. I know I gave you a couple headaches today, so.
Well, the good news is I actually have help in the studio from Nick Earnshaw today, so I'm not totally flying solo by myself. So
I'm glad to hear that. I'll try to be a little bit more available here moving forward.
Take care of yourself. All right.
See you.
Bob Wankel joining us here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig, Philly from Mike Gill, along with Nick Earnshaw, live here in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios here on 97.3 ESPN. So, Nick, for you, looking at what Bob said there, what was there anything that stood out to you specifically?
Yeah, he did have a hot take saying the Braves are totally cooked, that this is the Phillies division. I kind of agree with him there. I do agree with him there a little bit. I think this is the Phillies are facing off against themselves, right? Like, this is their division to lose now. They have been really good all year. Over the past couple of seasons, right? They've been a wild card team.
Right.
It's like now you want to be in that position where you're leading the division. You're going into the playoffs where you have those couple of days off. Was that good or bad? I don't know. But because in the past we've seen it hasn't been great. But now they're kind of the dominant team across the National League. Like, it's them and the Dodgers, right? The Braves are good. I think they're still going to be there. But I thought that was an interesting take to say they were cooked. I don't know if they're cooked. I kind of can see where he's coming from. I still think they're going to be a playoff team. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. And then the Kyle Schwarber thing, he has been a different player this year, hitting a bunch of singles. And, remember, he lost some weight over the offseason. Did that play a role? He's had, he hasn't had as much power this year as well. He's been hitting a lot of singles. He gets on base per usual, but it's been more singles and home runs. And we're 10 days into June. We talked about it throughout the show. We haven't really seen June Schwarber show up yet. Maybe that happens in Boston, but I thought the Schwarber comments and the Braves comments were definitely interesting from Bob, to say the least.
Yeah, I would say the Schwarber thing definitely warrants saying keep an eye on, right? Because, you mentioned about him losing weight. That was something that I pointed out when he first came to spring training. I remember, we've asked guys like, the Scott Laubers, the Matt Gelbs, the Bob Wankels, guys who cover this team day in and day out. And they're like, yeah, we've noticed it too. But at the time, nobody really thought anything of it, Nick. And now it's starting to wonder, like, I don't think it's affecting his power.
No.
But I do think it's affecting maybe his approach at the plate. Maybe. Because I remember him saying on Jason Stark's podcast back in March, because he was on with Doug Glanville and Jason, how like he was aware of how few singles he had last year.
Right.
And how he was like, I want to have a better batting average. I want to be a better hitter. So, like, I don't think that means he's not going to hit the home runs he usually hits this year, but it does make you wonder, is his approach at the plate different?
Right. And like it shows in the batting average, right? Like his batting average is up this year. Everyone complained last year he was, hanging around 200, under 200, right at that Mendoza line. That's what everyone was so concerned about last year. This year, his average is way up. You know what I mean? Like this year, he's batting 235. So it's a big jump from where he was last year, being under 200 for most of the year, right? And now he's not hitting as many home runs. Like he's got 11 home runs so far this season. The power numbers, it's been different. People asked him, hey, we want you to get that average up, right? He's hitting more singles this year. He's just not hitting as many home runs. I don't know how people feel about that. And then he's also in the leadoff hole. So you want the guy to get on base. He still has the threat to hit a home run to start a game. You know what I mean? So he's getting those more at bats. He's hitting for a better average. I don't know. I think the power will come. It's just he's been a little bit different, like Bob mentioned.
It's
this
curious.
Year of a player. Yeah,
it's not concerning. It's curious. Is that a good word?
Yeah, you're kind of curious about it, I guess you could say, and it makes you wonder a little bit. I wonder if him losing a little bit of weight has something to do with it. It messed with his approach, and even some of the concerns last year when he wasn't hitting a bunch of singles and it was just home runs or striking out or walking. That he took a little bit of a different approach at the dish this year. I don't know if it has anything to do with the weight, but it's something to just keep an eye on as we're in June as the season progresses along.
The other thing that Bob talked about was the Gregory Soto coming into the game yesterday and how he has not been the guy he was the last year and a half, basically. And I have to wonder kind of, bouncing off of what Bob said, how many more times are we going to go to this guy? Right? How many times are we going to lean into how many times are we going to lean into Gregory Soto being the guy, right?
Right.
At what point do we turn around and look at a guy like Soto and be like, yeah, we're not going to go to him? Like at some point, if you're the Phillies, Bob is right. You do have to go somewhere else to somebody else. And he agreed with me. He's like, look, you can't pitch Alvarado and Strom and Hoffman every single day, but you got to go somewhere. And look, maybe it's not Soto, right? Maybe it is more Kerkering. Maybe it is more Dominguez. Maybe it is going out and acquiring somebody else. But at some point, I do agree with Bob. The Soto roller coaster ride, it's got to be given a timeout.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, because you can't send Alvarado, Strom, and Hoffman out there every day. Like, they're going to be cooked by the time you get to the postseason, right? You don't want them going way over in innings, etc. You got to have other options out of the bullpen, whether it's a Kerkering, whether it's a Dominguez. But the Soto experiment, he hasn't been the same since they really traded for him, right? It wasn't that great last year, had struggled this weekend as well. Like, that's why maybe you do go out and get a bullpen arm, right? Maybe that's what you want to prioritize. Give Rob Thompson another option, because Soto can be very dicey, and he's been dicey on the road, which kind of showed you yesterday. They were in London. That's something to watch for, because you can't send the same guys out there every single day. They're going to be cooked by the time September and October comes around. So I'm with you. You don't want to send these guys out every day, but that's when maybe you have to go out and get another arm, or utilize, guys coming up and down from the minors. You got the Ortizes of the world coming up, right? They have guys, that they haven't used a ton. Maybe use Turnbull as well in situations like that. Instead of just using him as a long relief pitcher, maybe you use him in spots to maybe prepare him for the postseason. That could be another option. So it's something that definitely you're going to watch as the season progresses and into the deadline too, if they don't make a move.
He's Nick Earnshaw. I'm Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN FM, the 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle. Still to come, we're going to have a different variation of the Big Three today. It is going to be me responding to people on the text board and me responding to stories around sports. And we'll let Nick Earnshaw weigh in. Is Josh going to get a thumbs up, or Josh going to get a thumbs down for his responses to these subjects and topics? How about that, Nick?
I like it. That's going to be a fun Big Three today. I can't wait.
Well, that's coming up next here on the Sports Bash. I'm Josh Hennig. He's Nick Earnshaw. Mike Gill is on his way back from London. He was, all reports are coming in. Mike Gill will be back in the driver's seat tomorrow, mañana, here on 97.3 ESPN.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
On 97.3 ESPN.
My mom was so tired all the time. And anytime I told her a problem, she always had one solution. She'd be like, you should take a nap. Both my wrists could be cut, and I could be holding a knife. And I could be like, I don't want to be here! And she'd be like, have you slept?
From Saturday Night Live, his Netflix specials, and Peacock's Bupkis, Pete Davidson Prehab Tour. Saturday, July 20th, Ovation Hall and Ocean Casino Resort. Tickets on sale now at theoceanac.com. Pete Davidson Prehab Tour, live.
Why do so many dogs suffer from weight issues, skin problems, messy poops, and low energy? It could be the popular dog food you put in their bowl each day.
Cody was sleeping a lot, wasn't playing.
She was very lethargic and not moving around.
Dry kibble just wasn't cutting it. That's why, after more than 45 years of experience of helping dogs make complete health turnarounds, veterinarian Dr. Marty created Nature's Blend. It's a freeze-dried raw dog food made with wholesome ingredients like premium meats, seeds, vegetables, and fruit. And once dog parents switch their pups to Nature's Blend, the results can be astounding.
She's got her energy back. She's running around like she did like 5 years ago.
Miraculously, she's just feeling all around better. She's like a new dog. Thank you, Dr. Marty.
Get your dog started today and save up to 54% off Nature's Blend. Plus, receive a free pack of our best-selling beef liver dog treats. Go to drmartypets.com/deal or text DEAL. to 511-511. Text DEAL to 511-511. All dogs are unique. Your dog's results can and will vary. Message and data rates may apply.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers excludes Corvette, excludes prior sales.
Don't buy a car anywhere until you hear this. Bennett Chevy must sell 200 vehicles immediately. So right now, brand new Chevys are on sale at the GM supplier employee price. That's right, you pay what we pay. Plus, you keep all the rebates, saving you as much as 10% off MSRP. You heard right, you get both GM supplier employee prices, plus you get all the rebates up to 10% off MSRP. And because Bennett must move 200 new and used vehicles, we'll give you a minimum $10,000 for any rotted out old clunker, even if it was on fire. Yes, a minimum 10 grand for any clunker towards any pre-owned vehicle in stock. Imagine how much you'll get for a good trade. These are real deals you won't get anywhere else but Bennett Chevy. So you must hurry for best selection. With deals like this, nobody beats a Bennett deal, and I mean nobody. Together, let's drive at Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Progressive presents Flo and JD announcing a monster truck rally.
And here comes the Obliterator. Whoa! And he's up on two wheels. That can't be safe. Oh, I don't recommend flipping your car backwards. Did he even check his blind spot? And the car's on fire. I definitely don't recommend that. This is one of my recurring nightmares.
Progressive is all about keeping it safe, so bundle your home and auto for 24/7 protection. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers. Coverage not provided for monster trucks. Not available in all states.
Is switching your wireless service to Total by Verizon easy? Totalmente. Now you can get 50% off any unlimited data phone plan. That's one line for only $25 a month, and you keep the phone you love. Hurry, this is a limited time offer. So find a store or switch suavemente at totalbyverizon.com. Offer ends July 31st, 2024. Promo subject to cancellation after 12 months. Available exclusively online and in Total by Verizon stores. Requires a compatible unlocked device and SIM. See totalbyverizon.com for device compatibility and additional details. Taxes and fees may apply.
Your luxury BMW experience is closer than you think. Take advantage of exceptional savings at BMW of Atlantic City. Stop in and shop your favorite models, including the new BMW 2 Series, X3, and more. We're sure to have a vehicle that fits your needs. And with Acceleride, purchase your vehicle online and we'll deliver it directly to you. Looking to trade? We'll pay top dollar for your current vehicle. Experience luxury today at BMW of Atlantic City, closer than you think, in Egg Harbor Township. Shop our complete inventory online at bmwatlanticcity.com.
Powered by the all-new BetParks New Jersey Casino and Sportsbook app. BetParks.com. This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Which way should the Phillies lean at the deadline? I'm Nick Earnshaw with your South Jersey Sports Center and with your 97.3 ESPN question of the day. With the Philadelphia Phillies falling in Game 2 in the London series against the New York Mets and the bullpen struggling, it got us wondering, should the Phillies really prioritize an outfield right-handed bat over a bullpen arm? Let us know by texting 609-403-0973 or use the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app. For me, I think you got to go bullpen arm over right-handed bat. Give Rob Thompson another option out of the bullpen. Once again, text in at 609-403-0973. Your forecast is next.
Borgata's Dash for Cash giveaway is here. This May and June, you could win a share of $1.3 million in prizes, including 2 new Cadillac Lyriq SUVs or one of 4 new Voyager golf carts. Play to earn entries for 2 grand prize drawings held Saturday, May 25th and June 29th. The Dash for Cash giveaway, only at Borgata Hotel, Casino, and Spa. For details, visit theborgata.com. Must be 21 or older. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Pretty good week for outdoor activities. I have to mention a few raindrops late tonight into tomorrow, but our next chance of widespread rain doesn't arrive until Friday afternoon. Partly cloudy tonight, low is 60. A little pop-up at some point. Partly sunny, high 75. More of the same on Wednesday, partly sunny and 79, becoming more summer-like with highs in the 80s on Thursday. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Here is an important safety message from the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety.
We all must do our part to keep our roadways safe. When driving, look out for pedestrians. Slow down and keep a 4-foot distance while passing. Let's look out for each other. Safety is a shared responsibility. Brought to you by the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
On 97.3 ESPN.
Alongside Nick Earnshaw here in the Ocean Casino Resort Studios here on 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget this week's Seize the Deal offer. Jester's Dive Bar in Rio Grande. You can get a $50 gift certificate to Jester's Dive Bar for just $25. Seize the Deal goes live this Friday morning at 9 a.m. at seizethedeal.com. All right, so we got a version of Big Three here, Nick. So I'm going to respond to people. And Nick Earnshaw is going to be the judge of my responses to different topics.
Judge Earnshaw over here. Judge Nuggets over here.
Judge Nuggets. I like Judge Earnshaw better. It sounds more sophisticated.
Yes, it does. It does. Not you can take me more serious when you use my last name instead of Nuggets.
Earnshaw. Judge Earnshaw will be judging Josh's three. So first, we got to respond to the person who did not agree with my comments on gymnastics. Okay. So let's first read what this anonymous texter. Okay. We'll just call them Mr. 609 because I'm not going to read their full number on the radio. That'd be pretty messed up. Honestly.
Man.
That'd be what do they call that? Doxing?
I guess. Yeah.
When you put somebody's information out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. They call that doxing now.
Yeah. Just use the area code.
Yeah. Mr. 609 says, Josh, that's absolutely the most absurd comment I've ever heard you say. Top level collegiate gymnastics better than Olympic gymnasts? Ha 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 ha. Collegiate gymnastics can't sniff the Olympic athletes do. If they could, they would be in the Olympics. Prime age gymnasts are between 15 and 17 years old. So it doesn't even make sense at the NCAA would be better than Olympic gymnastics. All right, so Mr. 609, here's the problem with what you said. First of all, you are projecting a theory and a narrative that is incorrect about women's sports. It's been propagated for decades. And we are now learning in today's world is not true. There has always been this opinion that sports like figure skating, gymnastics, and others, that women peak at a certain point and that they athletically cannot perform after a certain age. That has been proven not to be true. For example, one of the most blatant examples that has been proven is women's tennis and women's swimming. We have seen now in recent decades that women's tennis players are actually better now in their 20s and early 30s than they ever have been because women are actually being trained to be tennis players and not just be tennis prodigies anymore. Same thing with Katie Ledecky when it comes to women's swimming. Katie Ledecky has gotten better as she's gotten older, not when she is younger. And the reason this is what it relates to women's gymnastics. As a certified personal trainer nutritionist with 4 certifications in health and fitness, I am speaking as an expert in physiology and health and fitness. Women are now learning how to train and exercise better than ever before. Women are becoming better athletes as they become older. They are not just peaking in their teens and then having a drop off as they get older. So what you're seeing is that for women's gymnastics, look at Simone Biles. Simone Biles is better today than she ever has been. She's going to be in the Olympics this year, and she is murdering women who are like 8-10 years younger than her, murdering them on the gym mats because she is more powerful. She is more athletic right now because she has trained her body to be the most powerful gymnast she possibly can be. You look at women's gymnastics in college, that's why they're better now than ever before, because these women are doing quadruple spins and landing them perfectly because they have now trained their bodies to be better as they get older. You're seeing this in women's basketball as well. You know why they're more physical with Caitlin Clark in the WNBA? Because these women have trained their bodies by weightlifting and off-season training to be better athletes as they get older. There's no more young prodigy hit a point and you're cooked anymore.
Wow. I'm stunned, Josh. That was a fantastic response. Thumbs up for me. No doubt about it. I can't even lie. I'm not a big gymnastics watcher. You know gymnastics in and out. I am shocked. You're like the first person I really know who knows gymnastics through and through. So I give that answer a complete thumbs up. You had me a loss of words. That was a fantastic response.
Would it surprise you that the first sport I ever played was gymnastics?
What? Yes, it would have surprised me. I didn't know that.
4-year-old Josh was bouncing off the walls, and his parents decided the answer was to put him in gymnastics class.
How about that? I am not a gymnastics expert by any means. That is fantastic. I did not know you started. That was your first sport, gymnastics.
Yeah, I did gymnastics for anything else.
I learned something about you new every day. It's like you and Schweim on the weekend. I do a show with you guys, and I learned something new every time. Like the one time Billy, he drove the monorail. He just out of nowhere, he drove a monorail in Disney. You did gymnastics. I had no idea about this. You learned something new on the Sports Bash too. It's crazy to me. That was a fantastic answer, by the way.
I invite you and others to have a beer with me, and we'll break down the women's gymnastics this summer.
Yeah, that was a heck of a breakdown. That's a thumbs up from me. What a response for the Big Three to start it off. We're going crazy to start this Big Three today.
The next comment I want to get to is a texter chimed in because we were talking earlier, right?
Right.
We mentioned the Caitlin Clark stuff, right?
Right.
So Jerry G from Brigantine chimes in.
Okay.
He says, I've been watching basketball for 60 years. I'm 73 years old. I saw Wilt Chamberlain in the NBA. I saw Dr. J, so on and so forth. Jerry with a G from Brigantine goes on to say, I know basketball. Only problem is everyone else grew up and I didn't. So I've never really watched women's basketball because I always thought it was so boring. But then I put on, Jerry says, the women's NCAA tournament this year because of the popularity of Caitlin Clark. He said, within 10 minutes, I could tell she was the best women's basketball player I've ever seen. He said, without a doubt, and for her not being on the Olympic team, I feel it's a disgrace, he says. He says, Brittany Griner's played one game this year. She's on the team. What I'm saying is, this summer, I will not be watching or supporting the American women's team in the Olympics. That's Jerry with a G from Brigantine. So here's the deal. There's two different issues with Jerry brought up. First of all, I give Jerry credit for saying I saw Caitlin Clark and now I'm watching women's basketball after all those years of not watching. So he does deserve some credit for, coming around a little bit. Look, I've described Caitlin Clark, Nick, many times like Tiger Woods. When Tiger Woods hit the golf ball, it wasn't that people weren't watching golf. Is it the majority of people didn't care about golf, right?
Right.
Tiger Woods elevated the perspective of the sport. To this day, people like my dad, who is not a sports fan, he is not a diehard sports fan like I am at all. But if he knows Tiger Woods is playing a major, Nick, he's watching.
He's in. He's watching.
And that's what Caitlin Clark has done for women's basketball. She has elevated the perspective of the sport. But like Tiger Woods, Caitlin Clark is facing jealousy, resentment, a little racial bias, right? A little of this, a little of that, all wrapped in the one. And I do think some of that went into the reason why she's not on the women's team. Because I don't think the world is ready for Caitlin Clark on the women's national team. Because I think some of these women are still not comfortable with the idea of playing with her. And that's part of the reason they kept her off. But there's another reason why as well. I have to give Rebecca Lobo credit for this. She brought up that in order to be on the women's national team, you have to be able to have attended a certain number of practices in the offseason, go to a certain number of games, and played in the international game before playing in the Olympics. So I think that is the real reason why Caitlin Clark. Now, could you have excused that reason? Of course you have. But we have seen this before, Nick. 30 years ago, there was a megastar coming out of college that everyone thought was going to be on the Olympic team, but he was kept off the team. And he used it as motivation to go on to be one of the greatest centers in NBA history. That man is Shaquille O'Neal. Shaquille O'Neal was purposely kept off the dream team because the guys who made the dream team said he didn't earn his stripes. He didn't deserve it. He shouldn't be here. And Shaq went out there and said, bleep all of you, and had an amazing career, earned multiple championships, multiple MVPs. And Caitlin Clark said this weekend, she's going to use this as motivation. And she has said they have awoken a monster. And I think that despite the fact that Jerry G from Brigantine will not be watching the Olympics, I recommend that Jerry G, you watch Caitlin Clark rise because she is going to be like Tiger Woods. She is going to take over and dominate this sport in ways that you have never seen before. And like Shaq, she is going to go out there and destroy everyone for overlooking her.
I love it. I am total. That's a total thumbs up for me in that response, Josh, because here's why. Like, you can use this as a motivating factor, like you mentioned, because, I think you could have excused the practice thing to have her join the team. I think that is something obviously they could have done. And if they want eyeballs, they would have had her on the roster. I think that is a fair argument. But what she can do, if you look at this from a positive perspective, from her perspective, use this as motivation. And the quote that come out, "You've awoken a monster." I think that is going to be huge for her career. I think this is going to be a point in her career where she's like, yeah, you're going to leave me off the women's national team, the USA women's basketball. Yeah, I'm going to go out there and prove to you why I'm going to be on it next time. Right? Use it as a motivating factor. In sports, you're always looking for extra motivation. This should be extra motivation for her in her WNBA career. And I think this is going to really awaken her and, really show what she can do and what she's made of. I am totally with you on that point, 100%.
My third story I want to get to, Nick Earnshaw, Judge Earnshaw, for today's Big Three here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. The third story I want to get to is not from a text board specifically, but something that I heard people bring up over the weekend,
right?
Which is NBA Finals viewership is down. It's down by an average of 1 million viewers over the course of 2 games. Now, while Game 2 has peaked at 14 million, so it did go up a little bit, Game 1 was significantly down from last year. On the flip side, the Stanley Cup Finals, Nick, viewership was up 43% with over 7.1 million viewers. It is one of the most viewed Stanley Cup Game 1s since 2019, and a total viewership between television on ABC and digital. It was actually one of the most viewed Stanley Cup Final Game 1s in 30 years. So people might be asking why this is, Nick. And I'm going to tell you why it is. It's because of what channel it's on. I know it sounds dumb, but it's that simple. The Stanley Cup for years was on NBC Sports Network. And most people, the average fan, had no idea what channel that was on. And for many years, Stanley Cup Finals tried to go head-to-head with the NBA Finals, right? They tried to compete. They tried to say hockey fans will come out and watch our sport, right? They were wrong. They got killed. They got murdered on the other networks. I mean, the Stanley Cup playoffs at times was on USA Network and MSNBC and CNBC at times for years. It was the dumbest thing in the world. Finally, they're on a real sports channel, ESPN, ABC. The game was on ABC, so on a regular, easy-to-find channel. It wasn't on the same time as anything else. There was nothing else on Saturday night, aside from some UFC fights on ESPN+. It wasn't like they were competing with anything.
The only thing they were competing for was the Dodgers-Yankees. That was it.
Exactly. And there's a lot of people who just don't care about baseball, right? I'm sorry to say that, but there are people who just don't care, right? So if you're a sports fan, you just said it. Dodgers-Yankees or Stanley Cup Game 1. And I think that is a huge reason why it's up so much. I think the reason why the NBA Finals is down, they waited too long. They had too much of a gap between the end of the Eastern Conference Finals and the beginning of the NBA Finals. And I think that is what killed them.
You think the momentum of the NBA the momentum of the NBA playoffs was killed because of the long gap between the conference finals and the NBA Finals? I think you're right there. I think you're right because you were in the full swing of things. The NBA, every night was a big game. You had the Ant Edwards versus Luka Doncic. That was going crazy. And then on the Eastern Conference, Boston was just dominating, to say the least. And how many days off did they have? Was it like 5 or 6 days?
I think it was 6.
Yeah, I think it was 6 days. They started on a Thursday night, and it just kind of killed everything. Like, you forgot, oh, yeah, the finals start at the end of the week. Like, I think the time between the conference finals and the NBA Finals did probably kill a little bit of the momentum because it felt like every night we were talking about one of the new superstars, right? And that might be the reason why the momentum kind of slowed. And then, with Luka Doncic being and Edwards, you don't really have that same kind of storyline where it's the young player versus the young player who's up next, right? Like, you have the Boston Celtics, but they've been good all year. There's not like a ton of storylines there. And the really only one was like Porzingis, all right, is back. He's coming off injury. He had the big game one. I think that did kill the momentum a little bit. And yeah, the scheduling for the Stanley Cup, much better, going up against just the Yankees and Dodgers for the most part. And, it's on an easy channel to access. It's on Channel 6. So it was pretty easy and great job scheduling. Something Major League Baseball can't really do correctly for also putting the game up against the Stanley Cup. Not great job by them.
I will say that I don't think baseball tried to go up against Stanley Cup. I think it just happened that way.
Right. But the Dodgers, Yankees, that you got to figure out your scheduling there and interfere with the London series too.
I would assume that baseball might have made these schedules before the NBA and NHL announced their schedules.
Probably.
So I can't blame baseball too much for that. But I will ask you this, Nick. Do you think that the lack of Kyrie success against Boston has also hurt this series? Like, if Kyrie would have come out there and been on fire against Boston, it could have impacted the series viewers.
Yeah, I think that's huge, right? Like, if Kyrie going back to Boston, that is like the big storyline here. Going up, going against the team. Remember he flipped a double bird to the fans before,
behind his head.
Yes, so
it was pretty funny. Actually,
that is a huge thing. He has kind of been missing, right? It's kind of been Luka doing it himself for the most part in the first two games. Now, if he had a big game one and got the series off to a roaring start and the Mavs were able to win, yeah. And then also Boston won game one by a lot. So, I know game two had more viewership, but
game two's viewership was up, I believe it was 6 million over game one, or 5 million or whatever it was. I mean, depending on which platform you look at, it was either 12 or 14 million at peak last night.
So it's very interesting because game one was so poorly rated, and in game two it went right back up. I guess because, you're down at 1-0, maybe Kyrie and Luka come back and it's serious tied up.
Is it maybe the day too? I mean, I know this sounds silly, but like Sunday night versus Thursday night, is there any maybe that involved, do you think?
I think so. I think the weekend kind of maybe helped at this. I mean, we saw Stanley Cup numbers up, right? On a Saturday, and then on a Sunday, numbers up for the NBA Finals. Maybe starting on a Thursday, a little goofy. Very interesting to say the least.
Yeah, I'm pulling up the NHL schedule right now because I want to see what other days. I don't have all the days memorized for the Stanley Cup Finals. I'm sorry, but I know they play tonight. Okay, but what other days do they play? So the NHL is going to have tonight, Thursday. And if they need, and game four would be Saturday.
Okay.
So I am going to go out on a limb and say tonight will be good viewership. I think Thursday will wane, and then Saturday will be good again.
Back up again. Yeah, I think you're right.
Because I think that having the second game, at least within proximity of the first game, will probably help them. But I think the Thursday just feels like such in the middle of the week nothing.
Yeah.
I mean,
in June.
Well, not just that, but also like, there's a chunk of this viewership are people who go out to like bars and establishment to watch games. I have been told many times by people who own bars and establishments, getting people to come out on a Thursday night is hard.
Yeah.
That it is not a good night historically to get people to come out. So, maybe we're just busy that night. Maybe that night is just not a good night.
It's a work night.
Right. You're working the next day. Yep. Maybe you got plans. I mean, now here's the other thing. How does school being out soon impact things? Like, I don't know. Like, are people more inclined to let their kids stay up? Are they more inclined to do other things with their kids? Does Thursday come into let's plan for the weekend day? Like, I just feel like Thursday is not a great sports watching night in general.
Yeah, it's a weird night, I think, to start the finals. If you started it earlier in the week, early on, like a Tuesday, I think that would make more sense. Then you have the second game later on in the week, and then the third game heading into the weekend. I think that would make more sense than starting it on a Thursday heading into the weekend. A little odd, but you start it on a Sunday. I think that's a good spot too. That's why the viewership was up, because everyone's kind of home. They're getting ready for work the next day. That makes sense. Yeah, Thursday's just an odd day to start it.
He's Nick Earnshaw. I'm Josh Hennig, filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. I've not got any updates to the contrary, but as I've been told, Mike Gill is en route. He is either back in America now or he's almost back in America now. He will be back on the Sports Bash tomorrow. We'll wrap up the hour coming up next, and then Nick Earnshaw will drive you home for the power hour known as Game Night here on 97.3 ESPN FM, 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea Isle City.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
New Jersey is leading the nation in clean energy investments with one thing in mind: you. Save money while saving the planet. New Jersey's Clean Energy Program is a statewide program that offers incentives, programs, and services that benefit New Jersey residents, businesses, education, government, and nonprofit entities to help us all save energy, money, and the environment. Discover how you can start saving today and help ensure a cleaner future. Visit njcleanenergy.com to see what New Jersey's Clean Energy Program can do for you. A message from the New Jersey Board of Public Utilities.
With T-Mobile, you can get tons of benefits and still save, because nobody likes having to choose. It's like getting romance and sci-fi.
I love you. Also, I'm a robot.
At T-Mobile, you can get the benefits you want and still save on every plan versus AT&T and Verizon. See how with our savings calculator at T-Mobile.com/switch. Plus, switch and keep your phone. We'll pay it off up to $800.
Via virtual prepaid card in 15 days. Qualifying unlocked device credit service and timely redemption required. Card has no cash access and expires in 6 months. See T-Mobile.com.
Here at Total Wine & More, our amazing selection means you'll always
love what you find.
Dad, what are you doing here?
Just getting a sneak peek at my Father's Day gifts.
Well, I was thinking of getting you this Barrel Select bourbon.
That's a really nice bottle.
And Total Wine has it at the totally lowest price.
Wow, you always were my favorite.
Thanks, Dad.
Talking to the bourbon, sweetie.
Find what you love what you find. Like the perfect gift for Dad at the perfect price. Only at Total Wine & More.
And drink responsibly. B21.
Summer's just getting started, so fill your cooler with the smooth and refreshing taste of Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. It tastes like real iced tea because it's made with real brewed tea. And with a 5% kick of alcohol, Twisted Tea is perfect for the beach, the lake, or wherever you're hanging out and day drinking with your friends. Look for the bright yellow cans. Twisted Tea Hard Iced Tea. Keep it twisted.
Twisted Tea Brewing Company, Cincinnati, Ohio. Please drink responsibly.
3, 2, 1.
It's gotta be a Matte Black Kia.
It's the third month of Matte Black Kia's 2 for $222. And this is the final month. 2 new Kias for $222. Brand new 2024 Kia Forte. Just $111 per month lease. With 0 security deposit. And just $39.95 due at signing. With a price like that, why not get 2 for $222? Have a job clearing $450 per week? We want to approve you today. With 0 down. And pay just 1.9% for 48 months on every clearly marked new Kia Sportage in stock. Or drive home 2 Kia Fortes for $222.
It's gotta be a Matte Black Kia.
With approved credit, 24 Sportage, $21.65 per thousand. Not all will qualify. Credit may affect down payment. Offers can't be combined. Go to MattBlackKiaNJ.com for complete details or 888-505-6670. Price includes all costs to be paid by consumer, except for licensing, registration, and taxes. Through KNF, 24 months, $111 per month, 10,000 miles per year. Rebates and incentives to dealer. Matte Black Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township, and on Route 37 in Toms River.
Pro Paint Days are back at Lowe's. Save $40 on select 5-gallon HGTV Home by Sherwin-Williams paint, like Weather Shield, Showcase, or Ceiling Paint. Plus, save $10 on drywall PVA primer and get free same-day delivery to the job site when you order by 2 p.m. Lowe's knows paint. Lowe's knows pros. Offers valid through 6/14. Delivery by 8 p.m. Subject to driver availability. Additional terms apply. See Lowe's.com/same-day delivery for details.
It's common knowledge that after age 30, our metabolism changes. We have less energy and gain weight easier. There's a way to feel better, not in years or months, but sometimes in just days.
I'm Chuck Norris. I tried everything. Working with a team of health experts, we came up with Morning Kick. Morning Kick is a revolution. Combines all my favorite supplements into one daily drink.
Morning Kick has probiotics to help you lose weight, prebiotics for digestion, superfoods for muscles and joints, and powerful anti-aging supplements. It'll help you feel youthful, energized, and helps manage stress.
I look and feel better than I have in years.
Go to roundhouseprovisions.com, use code SUPPORT, or text SUPPORT to 511-511 and claim 40% off. Roundhouseprovisions.com, code SUPPORT.
Every purchase comes with our 90-day money-back guarantee. You could be feeling these changes within just a couple of days.
Text SUPPORT to 511-511.
These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Tax fees may apply.
Get in zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Got a car-loving dad? Nice.
we've got a Father's Day sale. Right now, our Armor All Ultimate 8-piece bucket kit is just $25. That's soap, a wash mitt, wheel cleaner, tire shine, glass wipes, and interior wipes. Plus, a bucket to use for the wash. All for just $25 at the AutoZone Father's Day sale. Now through the 16th.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile.
I am Josh Hennig. I did think it was funny. CM from Sticklerville chimed in.
Yeah.
Says, as someone who has caught the wrath of Mike Gill's rebuttals over the years, Josh, I have to say that was maybe the best reply I've ever heard on the Sports Bash. You killed that guy. It's from CM in Sticklerville.
He's right, because I was stunned after that. You gave like detailed, in-depth analysis on gymnastics, and then we learned something about Josh Hennig after that too. Like, it was a perfect response to that question and to that text.
Listen, I just gotta tell you guys. Look, I know my gymnastics, man. You know,
Yeah, I know.
I know Simone Biles is the greatest of all time, but you could argue that Nastia Lukin is number 2.
Oh
Dominique Dawes is number 3, probably. Shannon Miller is number 4.
Why don't you start a gymnastics podcast? Or
that
something?
would never gain traction.
It would be a kind of a niche, you know.
That's a
podcast.
super niche.
Super niche.
I'd rather go back to doing podcasts about Marvel and DC movies and shows. Okay,
that's maybe I'll be a guest if you bring that one back. I'll be a guest on it, Josh.
Speaking of guests, Nick, who do you have coming up on game night?
Yeah, so we have a lot of fun. Jovan Alford from Fanside. He chimed in a little early. Fansided. He will join me at 6:25. So looking forward to that. We're going to talk Phils. I want to talk about Edmundo Sosa and Trey Turner a little bit. That's going to be an interesting dynamic when he comes back. So that'll be fun. Sixers outlook as well. We'll get to some birds too.
All right, Nick, I appreciate your help today. I appreciate you making my life a little easier today by coming in and helping out and doing yeoman's work over there.
Appreciate it. Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Next time we do this, we will do a top 10 sports movies and compare notes.
Oh, definitely. That's got to happen. I'm already ready to go. I have some takes on the movies.
I'm sure Mike Gill will be having a day off or two this summer that you and I can co-host again together.
That sounds good. That sounds good to me. We'll have a lot of fun. It's been fun filling in on the Sports Bash the past 2 days, last Friday as well.
We anticipate back to business as normal tomorrow's Mike Gill is either landed or landing in America as we speak. And I'll be back tomorrow on the Sports Bash. I'm Josh Hennig. Have a great day, everybody. Nick Earnshaw fills in on game night next.
Are you already doing digital advertising sales? Do you know all about targeted displays, social media marketing, the latest in SEM, and behavioral targeting? If so, you could be Town Square Media's new advertising sales star. We are looking for passionate sales professionals to join our media and digital advertising team. If consulting and connecting local businesses with their ideal audience for growth sounds exciting, well, let's have a conversation about you working for Town Square Media. Right now is the perfect time. Join our team as an advertising account executive. Our comp package is amazing with unlimited earning potential, including base salary, mobile phone, auto package, 401k match, and more, along with world-class training and plenty of room for growth. If you're competitive, driven, and have the ability to communicate great ideas, we want to hear from you. Reach out to Michael, Market President at 609-910-5249 or visit careers.townsquaremedia.com. Town Square Media is equal opportunity employment.